The college basketball experience, Big 12 2024-25 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, folks. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
This is Dan Dickow, and you are listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Experience Big 12 season preview episode for 2024-25, and I mean,
it's Division I football.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's basketball. It's basketball.
It's the Big 12.
But it is the Big 12. Shout out to Dan Hawkins for giving us a great drop about 15 years ago regarding the Big 12. YouTube.com/the college experience. Jump on over there. Hit that like and subscribe button. And if you haven't, if this is your first time tuning into the college basketball experience, well, buckle up because we got previews for every conference. And when the season goes live, we are live every single night of the season, talking college hoops, including the night before the season. There's not a game. We will talk about every game that's played on the hardwood this year. Every single game. You need me on that wall. All right. Look, if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dad, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
He's the kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You could drop this guy off at the Arctic Circle wearing a pair of bikini underwear without his toothbrush, and tomorrow afternoon he's going to show up at your poolside with $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos.
Definitely a fistful of pesos. Hammering these wagers with college hoops. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. How about this new Big 12? We're going to talk all about it. It's got 16 teams. It's college sports these days. They're all fucked up, but this conference is fantastic. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former video coordinator for Hall of Fame coach Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. He is the host of the Ryan and Rush Show. He is the host of the Big 12 College Experience, which you should be subscribed to both of those. He's also on the college football experience, and just anywhere he lays his hat is his home. Give it up for Ryan McIntyre, a.k.a. Lon Mac. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. Let's talk about the king of the land, baby, the Big 12. Welcome the Arizonas, welcome Colorado, and welcome Utah.
Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight.
All right, we are also joined by a third man in the booth. He's on the boards always, behind the scenes. He's sending me dossiers on every goddamn player that's ever played college basketball. All right. Just killing. He's also the host of the college baseball experience, and you'll catch him on the college football experience sometimes as well. Give it up for the great LeBaron driving son of a gun, Noah Bieniek. How are you?
What's going on, guys? This is going to be a very fun show. Grab your influence of choice, whether it be a joint or a drink, and the Big 12 college experience is going to take you home on this one. It's going to be a fun show.
Yes, and folks, we are honored to be joined by, well, the rest of the Big 12 college experience. This guy, he's fresh off a damn surgery. He told the doc, he's like, Yeah. All right, fix me up, but get me ready. Don't have me miss that Big 12 college basketball season preview episode. He's also the host of the Ryan and Rush Show, and like I said, the Big 12 experience. Give it up for the great Russ Bishop. How are you, man?
Hey, it's not only athletes that get injured, us podcasters. It's a dangerous job, man. But hey, you gotta get right back in there, get those preseason power rankings going, and just suck it through. You know, they still feeling good, you know, from the post surgery meds. So another option on a potential cocktail tonight, gentlemen.
Look, blink twice if you've done 10 of those poppers tonight, huh? Right?
What's 3 times?
I noticed we went. Yeah, if we did this just 2 people or 3 people, your eyes would stand out, I think, to everybody. But it's okay. With 5, I feel like you're at a distance where you're safe. You're safe, man. This is your safe zone. We're also joined by the third host of the Big 12 Experience as well. And look, this guy. He's texted me great photos of Florida State fans, and he's always, to me, working on some grass there. Give it up for the creator of the Beer Snake, host of the Big 12 College Experience, the Big 12 guru, Troy Chewning. How are you, brother?
What's going on? I was going to suggest to Noah, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a Jägermeister with a Percocet rim. That's a solid one.
Oh, geez.
Ooh, I like that. I always enjoy Troy's background because it reminds I picture him in like Tony Montana's house there in Miami. I just picture like someone's going to climb up from behind, shoot you with a machine gun, but it's okay. All right. Just get your picks out first. But I still, are you in Florida right now? Are you in Florida?
No, actually we have a couple of people up from Florida to stay out of the hurricane up here, but no, this is DC and fake plants.
Okay. They look good. You don't need to tell people that, but it's okay. How you guys doing? I mean, look at this. We have, what do you guys make of this? I mean, I know you guys host the Big 12 Experience, so you're not going to.
Real quick, before you get into the intro, I'm going to bow out, but I'm going to go over last year's results, and then you can get into a lot of the intro stuff for this season. Colby, Mack, and Rush selected Kansas to win the regular season last year. Houston won it in their first year. Troy picked Baylor, but he had Houston winning the Big 12 championship, which Iowa State won. Colby and Rush had Kansas also winning the Big 12 conference tournament. Mac had West Virginia. Also had West Virginia. Also has West Virginia at his sleeper, but he kind of knew in the back of his mind, deep down in his heart, that he needed to pick a second sleeper, because that might not work out well. And he chose Iowa State. So great pick, Mac, because they came in second place. And he also drilled his bust, which was Texas. Finished 500. They were picked like second in the preseason, I believe. Colby's sleeper and Rush's sleeper were BYU. Very, very good surprise season. Finished tied for 5th there in the Big 12. And Troy picked TCU. They finished 9-9, so not quite into that top half, but it was a valiant effort. The bust, though, for him was spot on, with Oklahoma State finishing second to last, tied for last with West Virginia down there. Colby and Rush drilled Oklahoma. I would say that was a disappointing season, and like I said, Mac had Texas. But I'm going to bow out. I'm going to let the Big 12 guys discuss everything, and then I'm going to come in with my power rankings like I have for every other conference. So have fun, guys.
There we go.
I'll be back in about 2 hours.
Appreciate it.
There we go. Give it up for the great Noah Bieniek on Twitter at NoahB77_ for the next couple hours. Look, I was going to ask this question here. I know you guys, and it's kind of a loaded question to a certain extent. Texas and Oklahoma go to the SEC. Arizona State, Utah, Colorado in. We know in football we think, okay, you lose 2 blue bloods, but you do bring in some guys. BYU and Colorado won natties in my lifetime. So curious, on the hardwood here, how good do you think these 4 gets are? Mac, I'll start with you. What do you think about these 4 additions coming in and losing Oklahoma and Texas?
Oklahoma and Texas, I mean, they kind of were middle of the pack Big 12 team. So really not losing that much. I mean, they were consistently an NCAA tournament team or NIT team just because of the money. But to add a a brand like Arizona to come into this league, to potentially get Arizona, Kansas twice a year, or Arizona, Houston twice a year. I mean, that's just another top 10 team in this league. Arizona State's always had potential. I know you just got back from there. Colorado is coming off a round of 32. They've had some basketball history, a little bit up and down. And then I think Utah, man, I think Utah will get going in the right direction. I remember Majerus having it going back in the day.
Played in the Natty, right? Or played in the Natty. What, 98 was it? 97, 98? Yeah.
You get the Holy War on the hardwood, so you get a rivalry. So, I think we hit it out of the park with these 4 basketball editions.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm Arizona State, and we'll see what it's like there, because like I feel like Colorado was ass a lot of my life, right? Was absolute ass, but recently they've came up a little bit. They're bringing in much better talent than they've ever brought in there. So I feel like we're okay there, but I worry about Arizona State if they could. But look, as a guy that just was hanging out, I mean, we had Bob Hurley in the booth the other night, and the fans are telling me a lot of good stuff about ASU moving forward. Rush, what do you make? I know you're a BYU fan, but what do you make of those 4 additions and what they could mean? I know BYU came in last season, but I know you got to be smiling when you see those pussy Utes coming into the conference. But what do you make of these 4 additions?
Well, not to correct you, but we're talking basketball here, so that they're running Utes. But absolutely glad to have them have the Holy War hardcourt edition. And I think something, and this is more general in terms of college sports, and we're seeing it in football this year, and I think we'll see it in basketball, especially with Arizona State, kind of what we're talking about right now being the biggest question mark, is with NIL transfer portal, love it, hate it, so be it. It's here to stay. But it is creating parity in college sports. It is, these backups, we'll do a quick football comparison right now, that you would usually see it like in Alabama or Georgia, are now going to schools like Vanderbilt, and you see what you see over the weekend, where Vanderbilt beats Alabama. And I think with an Arizona State and Colorado, I mean, they started this a little early last year with making the tournament, as Mac brought up. I think now that they have the Big 12 title on them, and they'll now be able to distribute those resources, and you don't have to wait forever to turn a basketball team around. You can do it in a year. I mean, speaking for my fandom, growing up a BYU fan, BYU wasn't expected to do what they did last year, and look what happened. Their head coach just got hired at Kentucky. I know he played at Kentucky, but I mean, that's still huge. Mark Pope going over there, and they look like they replaced him like that. I mean, BYU is actually putting more money into their basketball program, paying their basketball guys more than their football guys, and their football team's 5-0. So I know we were talking about this year's teams in this year's edition, of course, looking forward to Arizona. But my point I'm making there with using the BYU model is it can turn around just like that, being in the Big 12, resources being able to be distributed the way that they are and that we're seeing across all of sports. And so, Arizona State's a big question mark, but we'll see. Obviously, Arizona speaks for themselves. The question with Arizona, and I know we'll dive into them deeper, is going to be, now that they have the Big 12 regular season play, is that going to help them now come conference play? So Arizona's always question mark spin, the tournament, not necessarily the regular season. So we'll see how the Big 12 does there. Colorado, we'll see if they keep expanding. And shout out to our man, Josh Eilert, running, assistant coach for the running Utes now, Ryan. So hopefully they'll be able to help out there. So, hey, I'm fired up personally. And I think overall, this is great for the league too. Excited to have these 16 teams in it.
Yeah. And I see Troy over here wearing he got his Baylor National Championship t-shirt on. They do pay players now, and I know you're excited as well to get these 4 teams in. But is there 1 or 2 that you look and say they're gonna have to pick it up, Troy? I
feel like a team that, I mean, I know you're a Colorado fan, but I feel like all of these teams that need to pick it up, it's kind of like the SEC of basketball, where you get thrown into the fire and then you're expected to, pick things up and compete at a Big 12 level. I think the Big 12 has done a pretty good job of having, a better bottom and a better middle than every other conference. but getting Arizona and that brand at the top is something that, they add Houston and then they add Arizona, and that pretty much is just a complete stranglehold on college basketball. But yeah, I mean, Utah and Colorado, I feel like they're programs that are sleeping giants that have that NIL ready to go, and they're just waiting for a moment. And getting thrown into this conference is probably that moment.
Yeah, I mean Colorado. Well, I can tell you this as a Colorado fan, and I grew up watching Donnie Boyce and Martise Moore and Chauncey Billups and stuff. They were ass. They were absolute ass. I think Chauncey Billups got us to the tournament once, but they were really bad for a long time. Sean Van Divier. I mean, we couldn't really compete in the old Big 12. We just were like, well, we're a football school. We're phoning it in basketball. Well, to Tad Boyle's credit, he's came there and came into Boulder and recruited at a really good level, the talent level. Even back on the Chauncey Billups teams, we struck gold because Chauncey Billups was from Colorado. You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't, if he was from anywhere else in the country, he was not going to give us the time of day. Whereas Tad Boyle's kind of built this thing. Now I still question the X's and O's on the court, but that's why I'm a bit terrified of like, man, are you going to come here and get ran? Because the Pac-12 was always down. I felt like, at least in the Tad Boyle era, and he was able to capitalize off that. So they lost. I mean, we'll get to them, but I have some question marks on the Buffs, and hopefully they can reuse that Big 12 image and the fact that they have had tournament runs in the past couple of years, and to their benefit, because I am certainly a skeptic, and yeah, I mean Utah as well. Hopefully they can get back to that golden era. So anyway, folks, look, we're gonna go team by team, and there's a bunch of teams. Obviously, these conferences are insane these days. So I'm gonna shut the fuck up and read an ad here. Want to tell you that the college college basketball experience is brought to you by her. I mean, look, right now we're helping people out. It's the helping season. Troy was just talking about how he's got family from Florida up staying with him there in the DC area. Because Florida, as we speak, I think is getting hit with the hurricane. Well, we don't know what's officially happening there, but we do know Hurricane Helene about 2 weeks ago came through the Western North Carolina and just absolutely devastated it. So we reached out after a couple days. There was, one of the things that as I grow older, I feel like it's harder to find a charity that your dollar bill is going to go to the right place. Watch way too many documentaries about some asshole in Manhattan eating like a steak dinner on our dime. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, what the hell? I thought I donated to this thing, trying to help people. Well, that's why it took us a few days, but we finally got our home here. Mountainprojects.org is the spot. Please, folks, if you can just help out a little bit to give back. These people have lost their houses, their jobs, their family members. Shit, I was listening to one where a woman lost her son down the river, and eventually he had passed away there. So it was like, this is catastrophic. If you have not seen the footage, I mean, I in a way I almost don't recommend you to check it out, because it is really sad. But that's why it's our time to help out people. Like this is what we, you would want the same. We have to step up to the plate. This is our time to do that. When our areas get affected, that's when we count on others. And that's the way the world should be, especially within our own country. So please, if you can, folks, jump on over there, mountainprojects.org. The biggest donation will get a guest spot on the college football pick show and a ton of SGPN gear. So please, if you can, mountainprojects.org. I can't tell you how many times I've ran in. I was just in Tempe, and it was great that a bunch of fans came out, wanted to buy me a beer, and I think I bought them a beer, but still, I've gotten that DM a bunch of times. You ever in Albuquerque? I'm buying you a beer, Dundee, right? Well, look, I appreciate that. But how about I buy you that beer and you donate that $5-10 into mountainprojects.org, because we need to help these people. These are our brothers and sisters, people, and our fellow countrymen. So please, if you can, mountainprojects.org, hit flood support. Let's help them out today. All right. And shout out to Clark. I know he was affected by this. I think he had in an apartment there or something. And Clark, hope your friends are okay, brother. And yeah, man, reach out if you need any help. Let us know. Let's start with these Arizona Wildcats. Well, Tommy Lloyd, I mean, I'm all over the place with this guy. I've got to be honest. I had Arizona, I think, to go to the national championship the year that Princeton beat him in the first round. So maybe I shouldn't be the one hosting at this point, because I am a little sour still, and I can never trust this team. And but they do have a great basketball pedigree, from the days of Steve Kerr and Judd Buchler to Shot Elliott and Gilbert Arenas and everybody. And this song. Okay, they lost a slew of players though. I think one of the bigger stories was Umar Ballo transferring out to Indiana. They also lost Kylan Boswell. Those two were pretty substantial hits. Larson went pro, so 3 big hits there. Also, Kashad Johnson, the San Diego State Aztec, I think ran out of eligibility if memory serves me correct. So they're going to be counting on some new faces, but some of the old faces back. Caleb Love is back for his 75th year of college basketball. Him and Jaden Bradley and KJ Lewis, all back. Same with Montages Crevis. I don't know how to fucking say your name. I'm not going to sit here and but it sounded good, right? That's the Saki talking. They bring in Trey Townsend from Oakland. We saw him. He knows about winning big games. Yep. Take down the Kentucky Wildcats. They also bring in Toby Awaka from the Vols of Tennessee and Rick Barnes. And don't forget Campbell transfer Anthony Del Orso from the Camels there. And Liam Lloyd, son of Tommy Lloyd from Northern Arizona, comes to town. We see him hit like a game winner. I feel like either last season or the year before there. Also brought in Jackson Francois from Missouri. Mac, it seems like a step back to me in Tucson there. Am I wrong?
Well, and this is going to be a theme in the show, that great home court, and he's a good coach. I mean, when you've won 82% of your games since being there, you're a good coach. So the problem is you're going against a lot of really good coaches every single night. They got the veteran backcourt and Bradley and Love. I like Townsend, and I like Awaka coming over from Tennessee, kind of a glue guy that's comes from a defensive culture. My biggest concern with Arizona is I don't know how ready they are from the Big 12 from a physicality night in and night out like Houston was last year. Houston's always been a physical-ass team under Kelvin Sampson. Kind of under Tommy Lloyd, they've bowed out in the tournament in the Sweet 16 year after year because they've got him punked a little bit. I don't get me wrong. They're still going to win 20-plus games, but I think that they're kind of in the middle-ish of the Big 12 in their first year. But I still like this team.
Do you think their style could be a problem for the Big 12 teams? They play fast, man. I feel like,
yeah, they do. I think they're going to be good at home, like they always are. I think maybe the BYU model is what they're going to be looking at last year, where you just protect home court and maybe you steal a couple games on the road. But I mean, there are some question marks on this roster. Losing a guy like Ballo, that was a double-double on their team and could protect the rim.
Yeah. We got Z Paulson in here talking some shit. And,
it's just the SEC model.
I know. The SEC football motto. NC Nick has also told me on a private phone call in the past month or so, they're rigging it again. But anyway,
I already told you, when their bottom 5 teams drop fucking bye games to LIU, don't be bitching about the net. And same with the SEC. The SWAC and MEAC teams. There's a formula. Yeah, you could do that, but you have to win the games. The Big 12 wins the games.
Yeah. So what you got to do is you got to make shots. Oh, that's Avery Johnson. I'm sorry. Look, Rush, your thoughts on the Arizona Wildcats?
Yeah, as I was talking about earlier, the biggest question they have is, one is, how do they handle the hump of joining the Big 12. Ryan's absolutely right. And what we see in college basketball, especially the Big 12, is protect home court. You should be good. And there's no reason Arizona won't do that. And you're right too, Colby. It's, the grinded out physicality of the Big 12 that, you get into these late January, early February games, and Arizona's playing fast. I mean, it doesn't matter how great the other coach is. If you can't keep up with them, Arizona's obviously going to have the advantage. Of course, on the other hand, Arizona hasn't seen the physicality that the Big 12 is. And is that going to help them come March time where, hey, it's actually easier to play in March Madness because we just played 5 of the top 10, tournament teams. Or are they just going to be so worn out, which we kind of saw last year in the Big 12? The Big 12 kind of ate itself alive. And, maybe if Shead doesn't get hurt for Houston, we're singing a different song with the Big 12. But it's that overall question. So, yep, a lot of question marks with this Arizona team. Glad that they're a part of the Big 12. They definitely, I know Arizona, and we'll get to Arizona State here in a second, have all since the 70s, 80s been a Pac-12 team, but they do kind of feel right in the Big 12. I'm glad they're part of it. So curious how the style of play is going into the Big 12. Like Ryan said, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they'll be just fine. And I think the age-old question will be, what are they can they get past the Sweet 16? So we'll see how the Big 12 helps them or hurts them do that come tournament time.
I think that will be one of the most interesting teams to watch this year just because of that. And I am a big proponent of desert football, but also people don't know, I haven't claimed as much. Desert basketball sounds fantastic as well. So please, folks, get on over there. And I do think all 4 teams fit. I actually think they fit better than the other 4 teams that joined. Like Houston was a shoo-in, but UCF was one where I was like, I guess, you know what I mean? BYU made sense. Cincinnati, kind of. Like I felt like BYU and Houston were the ones that definitely fit in there. Whereas this, all 4, I feel like, yeah, they fit in. They're not touching the Pacific Ocean, So, Troy, your thoughts on Arizona? And I know you were saying that you think they're going to come right in and win year 1, right?
They might be able to. I know Ballo seems like a big loss, but they were better with Krivas on the floor than they were with Ballo and like points per possession. And then you see Boswell as a big loss. They were better points per possession with Bradley on the floor than with Boswell. And I know it's a lot of matchups. It does feel like they'll be able to play fast and maybe push some of the Big 12 teams. But I do think missing that Shed style physicality from Boswell and being able to have that guy handle the ball when you're getting pressed by Houston the entire game might be something that they wish they had. I mean, Caleb Love is not a great ball handler. If you can get him to pass him the ball and you're playing, a Houston team or a Baylor team that's got a bunch of length in their guards, he could turn the ball over quite a bit in this league. I feel like this is obviously still going to be one of the teams that's listed at the top, but those teams could finish in any order in this league.
Yeah. All within like a game or two, here or there. By the way, Arizona's plus 700 to win the regular season championship here. So if you feel like good, Wildcat fans, what's that?
Nothing like a 7-1 in projected 5th place team.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta love that. Folks, before we get to their rivals in the Dust Bowl there, I want to tell you that the college basketball experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has some of the biggest menus for all of sports. Right now it's football season. It's October, but college basketball will be available here at Underdog Fantasy. But in the meantime, NFL, college football, CFL, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NHL, NASCAR, and much, much more is all available. So their lobby is jam-packed with Profit Boost. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries as well. So what are you doing, folks? Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back, and it is time to talk. Look, and I got to be honest. I'm glad I just came back from Tempe. I was in Tempe Sun Devil Stadium, one of the better stadiums in college football. Was catching a game that came down to the final play of the game, the Kansas Arizona State game. But what was cool is we were a guest. Shout out to Venezia's Pizza, who you can get there at the stadium at Sun Devil Stadium or at the Arizona State basketball games there. It was cool being a guest to them because they get access to everything because they, not only are part of their NIL collective, they're so we were shown the treatment, and we're up in this private booth. And damn, if Bobby Hurley isn't there. Now I didn't get a chance to say what's up to him. I might've been like 14, 15 drinks deep. So I was just like, you know what? Maybe Bobby Hurley doesn't want to talk to me tonight. Right. And, but talking to him, being connected to the program, talking to some people there, they're really optimistic about what they have going on now. I know I had been a skeptic before of some of Bobby Hurley's years coaching, and from what I understand, he saw his brother win the national championship. He's very, very excited about getting back to work. I think that lit that flame a little bit. A little brother rivalry, always a good thing. Competition at its finest, and he's been heavy into. Before he was kind of an anti-NIL guy, and now it's changing his tune, and it seems recommitted. Like there's a new energy there. Obviously, different athletic director. After Anderson had basically called Morgantown the 9th layer of hell, and so he's gone. And Arizona State, though, look, they have a lot of optimism, more than I thought, to be honest with you. And the same can be said when I hung out with them in Vegas. Even before that, they were a little more optimistic, and now they're way more optimistic about their upcoming season. Adam Miller is back, the former Illini guard. Also, they have a 5-star coming in, and Jaden Quaintance. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Quaintance, I think it is. They also have a 4-star and Justin Sainin coming in, as well as a couple big transfers. All right, going out there, bringing in BJ Freeman from Milwaukee, where he was a beast. Also, Austin Mason from Missouri State, and Bashir Jihad from Ball State, who balled out there. Pun intended there. But Brandon Gardner also comes in from USC. Austin Nunez from the Ole Miss Rebels. They did lose Mac's favorite player in all of college basketball, Jose Perez.
Oh.
And on the team, I didn't see him at the end of the year. Oh yeah, he quit.
Also, Frankie Collins is gone. Jemiah Neal hit the portal. Alonzo Gaffney, Kamari Lands, and I think that there were some other players too, but of substantial note. I'll tell you this, man. I'm buying into the optimism. I'm buying. Maybe I'm just because I'm too close to the scene. They just bought me a billion drinks, so how the hell could I not love them, right? But I got a surprise team here. These Sun Devils are going to surprise in year one. Let's go, Mac. Am I drinking too many free drinks on the arm?
This seems like turning into a public dog all of a sudden. You're like the 4th person that said Arizona State's going to sneak up on people in the Big 12. And I hope that they do, but it's hard for me to buy into bringing in guys that are transferring up into a new league with a coach that's already in his 10th year. That's also transitioning.
Damn, he's in his 10th year. I feel
I couldn't believe that when I saw that Bobby Hurley was in his 10th year at Arizona State. That's hard to believe. It feels like yesterday we just played him at Buffalo in that round of 64 game. So, I like the kid. I like the guys. I like Mason, Freeman, and Jihad coming from Ball State, Milwaukee, Missouri State, but they're taking it to another level here. And it's just not a program that has an identity that I can just blindly back, taking guys and plugging them in like Houston and Iowa State. I think they're in the bottom, but I think they're going to be entertaining. I think they're going to be like UCF, where they're not going to suck, but I'm not going to say they're an NCAA tournament team. Sorry, Sun Devil fans.
Well, Dr. Barry's telling me there's no such thing as too many free drinks. You don't need to tell me, Dr. Barry.
Dr. Barry's on fire in the chat.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my surgeon.
How the hell do you think I got to 41 years old, buddy? All right. I've been living off free drinks for fucking my whole life. All right. Rush, your thoughts on these Sun Devils? Do you think they can come in with ease and be middle of the road? Maybe. I mean, what would be a great year for you? And what do you think they're gonna do?
Ease is a stretch. I mean, they, like you all said, they have the pedigree. I mean, with them being far out west, they'll have the travel advantage when opponents come to them, of course, and able to bring in a young solid recruiting class. I think they might strike early. I with the optimism and everything you're saying, but as we've said earlier, when you start getting to those late January, early February games, it's hard to keep up after that. I think they'll be fun, like you all are saying. I think they'll be that spoiler team that will occasionally want to sprinkle the money line with, and I think that's their level. Maybe because of being in the Big 12, they can maybe make a splash in the NIT and maybe get there. I think that would be a great goal for them. But I mean, their wheels, I think, are going to come off pretty early. But like you all said, they're going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I am I crazy to think that Arizona State might be able to surpass Arizona?
Yes.
In year one.
Yes.
I just maybe it's just the fact that
what did they give you out there?
Well, I also remember my bracket. I also remember my goddamn bracket. All right, 2 years ago. All right.
I'm telling you, Tommy Lloyd's won 80% of his games.
It was the Pac-10, Pac-12. They were playing teams that were still wearing their mask when they were playing. What the fuck? I mean, Troy, what do you make of these Sun Devils in year one of the Big 12?
I feel like this could be a fringe NCAA tournament team, to be completely honest. You get Quaintance, which is, they've got to have something if they're getting a 5-star to come to their program. There's got to be something there, and it might just be money, but the fan in me wants to think that at least those guys take, at least 5 to 10% into account about the program when it comes to, highest bidder wins. But I feel like, the size of Freeman in that guard spot is going to fit into a Big 12 team pretty well. The size of Jihad in the front court and being able to, I don't want to say bang, but I feel like they might have the wheels fall off late and miss the tournament, but kind of be on that bubble for a few weeks heading into, the last half month of the year before things really seem like they're going to miss out. But they do have the chance to strike gold. So I still want to leave them on the fringe, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, buddy. Folks, before we get to the next team, I want to tell you that the college basketball experience is brought to you by BetUS. Yes, bet with the best in the business, BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts there. And look, sign up and deposit $100. You have a chance to win a 1960 Ford Mustang. Holy shit. They made a whole movie about that with Nicolas Cage. I know they've made every movie with Nicolas Cage, I feel like, by this time, but you know what I'm talking about, where he's trying to find like a vintage Mustang in Long Beach. It was a remake of a remake. And Angelina Jolie, for some reason said, I want to look like a meth girl with blonde hair. And she looked like she'd probably suck every guy's dick on set. But anyway, my point is that's what happens when you drive when you're on a quest for a 1960 Ford Mustang. Let me tell you, your life can change. All right. I told Bieniek behind the scenes there, if he wants to, maybe sell the LeBaron for a couple hundred, bucks there and submit this thing in, he might be driving around a 1960 Ford Mustang, and the women in Ypsilanti. Oh, they'll be following. All right. Use our link to sign up and get 125% deposit bonus. Oh, get this. Not only your first one, your first 3 deposits. What a great deal. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. Promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner. Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, props, all that good stuff. look, and you could just copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or you could say, hey, I want to build my own. Press the build my model button and select things that you like, and then they'll adjust around that. Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a slew of stats, research, trend analysis to give you even more betting insight. I like Coastal Carolina at JMU tomorrow with the points. Claim your 7-day free trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, let me do my Nick Cage. Let's go. All right. We're good. Shout out to Dr. Barry. You think I had peyote? Which time? All right.
Isn't that why you go to the desert?
That's what I'm saying. Kidding me? Come on, doctor. You're supposed to know this shit. All right. Anyway, I will make an appointment at your office, good sir. All right. Only if you bring the peyote. All right. Let's talk about, well, Troy's team here, the Baylor Bears. They don't have to worry about firing this coach, even though they did have to worry that he almost left, right? Wasn't there speculation that he could be Kentucky's next head coach? Scott Drew turned it down, says, I'm done with your bullshit. I've been
to have his favorite diner in Lexington. So
there you go. This is a fascinating team for me this year specifically, because you bring back Langston Love, you bring back, who had gotten injured. You bring back Jaden Nunn. You bring in a 5-star in VJ Edgecombe, and you get a couple guys that I was very bullish on. Norchad O'Meara, Jalen Celestine from Cal comes in, a couple other 4-stars, Jason Esmoda, Robert O'Wright III, and then Jeremy Roach. That was a shocker to me when he left for Waco. And right now it's a trendy thing. I want to highlight Giannis Njonga because he is a JUCO coming in from New Mexico military. And I just got to remind folks that Diego Piscopavia, the quarterback of the Vanderbilt Commodores, was once the quarterback of New Mexico military. So you might have struck gold there in Waco, but man, I am very bullish on this team. I know they lose, okay, Jalen Bridges, Jacoby Walter, Missy, but man, what was the big guy's name too? The big man, RJ Dennis is gone, but the big man,
Misi was the big guy.
No. The African name.
Oh, JTT.
Yeah. Yes. So they lost a slew of guys from last year's team, but man, last year's team kind of disappointed me, man. So what do we make of this team? Look, Troy, I'm going to start with you here. Why are they winning the national championship this year?
Well, that would be because everybody buys into Scott Drew, and they obviously have the talent to do it, but we know that Baylor's the best when they have guards playing defense better than everybody else on the floor. When everybody's rotating and they're not trying to make up for somebody else making mistakes. And that requires everyone to buy in and believe that things are going to work. I know a name that is only a 4-star, but Robert Wright III has really impressed a lot of the guys down in Waco already. Might be a little bit better than we predicted. Edgecombe is just Dwayne Wade. Probably better than Cooper Flagg. I'm just going to go ahead and say that now. Not biased at all, but
well, I don't get
I was going to say, I love Jaden Nunn. He seems like a guy that fits into a Scott Drew system really, really well. I think Jeremy Roach, Fairfax, Virginia, all of our home, that was a pretty big get. And that shows you, this program's definitely here to stay. I don't think anybody was debating that, but we'll see how Scott Drew does here. Not necessarily a total, it's another, not a one and done roster. It's kind of got a lot of mixtures of guys that are going to be there quick.
Roster.
Yeah.
I really like this roster. I'm kind of bullish on Baylor this year.
I feel like Norchad's going to make a pretty big difference for them too.
Yeah. Mac, I'm curious, what do you think of this team? And plus 750 I'm seeing right now. Let me just sprinkle a little bit little bit of that action on that. Am I crazy, Mac?
No, not at all. I love this Baylor team. I think they got a little bit of everything. I think they can play fast, they can play slow, and they add 2 transfers that have played in Final Fours that kind of, I don't know. I don't know if they kind of like the Dylan Gabriel in college football where they went with the younger option and coming back, going to a new spot with a chip on their shoulder. Jeremy Roach, they wanted to give the reins to somebody else at Duke. Norchad Omier, a little bit of a down year last year, but I think he's going to bounce back in a big way. The Edgecombe kid is talented as a freshman, but they don't. Here's what I like about having a 5-star freshman on this team. They don't have to rely on him. They have veterans around him where you don't just have a bunch of young guys around him. And then none second year in the system coming over from VCU. And then the main reason to like Baylor too, because they're blue blood now that Scott Drew turned down Kentucky because he said Baylor's a better job. Just kidding, everybody. I want to make a little jab at Big Blue Nation there.
Watch what you do there. You might get sent some mail that blows up your house. So
anthrax heading to Matt's place.
Hey, the main thing, man, is they've invested in the NIL at Baylor, and Scott Drew has taken this thing from not having a roster and basically solving a murder case to making it a national championship contender year in and year out. Future Hall of Famer.
Dude, I was watching a I don't know what the fuck it was. It wasn't Forensic Files. Maybe it was Dateline or like FBI Files, where this dude had like pulled off a bank robbery in Kentucky, right? And he like he makes a mistake of going back to his neighborhood, which everyone's gonna know you're rich. But then when he gets whiff that they might be coming, he goes to leave. But he waits until after the Kentucky basketball game. And that was part of his demise, was that if he had left on time, he might have got out of there. And this was back in like the 80s. So it's like you probably could have actually gotten away. And no, but that's how much it means. It does mean more in the state of Kentucky, I will say. Rush, your thoughts on these Baylor Bears, and if you rob a bank, are you going to watch the Mountaineers before you try to get away?
Well, I see it more as an investment. If I miss that game, then I'm going to still be free in society, so then I can watch more Mountaineer games. So yes, I actually would, so I can watch more. The only thing that I would add, gentlemen, to that, looking forward to a healthy Langston Love, seeing what he can do this year. And I think with that was a really bad loss in the tournament last year to Clemson. I know Clemson surprised a lot of people, and I know that's what March Madness is about. But I think, that short-term pain can end up being long-term success for them, because I do think while they have a stacked roster and they're definitely a dark horse to win the Big 12 this year, I think sometimes having that a little bit of that bad taste in your mouth can give you that extra oomph to propel you forward. So curious and excited to see these Baylor Bears this year.
Yeah. Moving forward, let's talk about your boys, the BYU Cougars. Man, I mean, you hire Kevin Young off the Phoenix Suns staff. I just want to start right there, Rush. I mean, before I dive into the roster, what do you make of the hire? Are you encouraged by this? Is this one you said, hey, this could be a sneaky good one? Or is this one where you're saying, maybe I need surgery again? What are you thinking?
No, I think this is a fantastic hire, and it's a hire that Cougar Nation is really excited about. I mean, they're paying him more than the football coach by quite a bit. I think, and I know Max raised concerns in the past with, hiring an NBA guy for the college level, and it's a valid concern. But now these college teams are ran like professional teams, like NBA teams, and we'll talk about the roster when you bring it up here in a second. But they have 2 potential first-round picks, one of them being a potential lottery pick. And you kind of have to run it that way now. So they're very fired up for this head coaching pick. And I am too. It's if you're going to replace someone like Mark Pope, this is the perfect guy.
Yeah. It was kind of out of the blue for me, but I am very intrigued to see what he can do here. They return some production there that Dallin Hall and Trevin Nell. both back there. That guards that played, combined about 40, almost 45 minutes a game for them a season ago. They also have Fousseyni Traore, who's a beast as well. He is back. Also Richie Saunders, who had entered the portal and jumped back. And then, they did lose some guys. Some followed coach, Spencer Johnson just gone. Jackson Robinson, Ali Khalifa, Noah Waterman, but still, like, the fact you were able to retain some of this roster. You also bring in Mawat Mag, who has flashed some at Rutgers, and then the international product you're bringing in Igor. How do I pronounce this? Demon? Is it Demon?
I think so.
Yeah, Igor Demon coming in, also a 4-star, and Cannon Catchings. It's been really fun to see them bring in that talent. They also get Dawson Baker back. It's gonna be a fun. This is, like, to me, I think this is the hardest team to get a read on in the whole Big 12 to me.
Yeah, and I'll say 30-1 value from just a pure value standpoint. That's a fantastic sprinkle. So just throwing it out there for everyone. And you can't blame those players for transferring, right? You have the opportunity to go play at Kentucky and follow your coach over there and probably make a little more money too. Yeah. So totally get it there, but
maybe rob a bank too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The fact that they were able to keep Dallin Hall, Saunders, Traore, those are huge guys to be able to keep. And you brought some of the guys coming in, especially Damon Demon and Catchings. Those are phenomenal additions. And something too, I don't think this is talked about enough, but something that really helps BYU in the NIL and transfer portal era is, before it was a lot, people would like, especially on the football end, being like, hey, BYU has history, the quarterback factory, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know if I can live that Mormon lifestyle for 3, 4, 5 years. Now you could just do it for a year and be able to pop to the NBA, or at least, figure it out and see if it's a fit for you. You can always, go somewhere else after being there for a year. So, BYU does have money. There are boosters there that have a lot of money. It is a wealthy place. And, now you have guys that don't have to, commit to 3-4 years of the Mormon lifestyle. It's a huge advantage for BYU.
Can they have pre-portal sex?
Like you have a week to get it in before you sign the contract. Like you just got to bang for a straight week, and then
I guess to honestly answer your question seriously, I mean, I guess until they sign the honor code, I mean, they still.
I mean, if Sarkisian is allowed to sign the honor code, anybody can do whatever they want.
I was about to say,
right?
I'm as someone I could call Jim McMahon right now, and I'm pretty sure. As a guy that showed up to Chicago Bears training camp with a 30-pack, I think I think he might have crossed the line.
I mean, of course it happens. I mean, not to put too much pressure, but my dad played baseball at BYU for a little bit, and he would be around other athletes and he's like, it happens. It's just, you got
to pull the old Mickey Mantle. You just got to say, hey, meet me under the bleachers. All right. Yeah. And then anything goes there. But this team is to me, it's a kind of a mystery team. I had a hard time when I was going to put my rankings. I was like, this is like last year I had a pretty good feel. Another thing is they have a great home court. Like fantastic. You have the altitude and their fans are fantastic. So like that's another element for some sneaky win. Like even on down years, which if this is a down year, I'm not saying it is, if it's a down year, they'll still steal some wins because of how great that home court is. Troy, where are you at with these BYU Cougars?
I feel like this is a team that's pretty similar to Arizona State, except for instead of crumbling at the end because they have so many returnees and a solid mix, they kind of stay solid and maybe get in as a fringe team. I think we look back at this year. I mean, Kevin Young, not just an assistant coach in the NBA, but the highest paid assistant coach in the NBA, probably was on a track to be an NBA head coach, and you get him to come to BYU. It's got to be a pretty good idea the way that the game is going now to get some of these pro guys that have a little bit more knowledge with the players that have been paid and how to keep those guys still motivated instead of the old school, like you should love to play basketball. you should play like Diego Pavia and want to win every fucking possession and game.
Hell yeah.
That doesn't really apply to everybody now, which is, it's bullshit, but you got to find another way to motivate them and get them going. But Traore is a beast, and
he is.
This just seems like a pivotal turning point where we look back in 2 or 3 years and BYU is putting their name in the hat as like a blue blood challenger. I mean, they're probably going to get Dibansta, and everything's going to trajectory straight up. So if they can even work as a fringe team again, maybe win a couple of tournament games again, things are looking up there. And, if they ever need to raise money, it's not that hard for them.
Yeah, not at all. And Mac, I'm curious what your take on this team is, but one of the questions I want you to answer is, what's the ceiling on this team? Because I do think their ceiling might be. This is, I think, the hardest team to read, but the ceiling could be pretty high. I think if everything hits.
I probably 4th or 5th in the Big 12.
Yeah,
which
I
is
get
awesome.
I get everybody is buying into the new age of college basketball, and I like Hall, I like Nell, I like Traore, I like some of their pieces, but this is his first college basketball coaching job. It's a different game than the NBA. It still is a different game, and trying to deal with NIL, different egos, and then you're trying to manage it night in and night out in the Big 12. Yes, they will be sneaky at home like they always are. But I just think from a consistency standpoint, I think this team will lack that this year. I know they got the talented kid, freshman coming over from Purdue, but I mean, some of the Purdue guys weren't exactly disappointed when he left as well. So I think BYU middle of the pack, roster's good, but I'm not going to put a first year head college basketball coach in the top 5 in this league. I need to see it. He's got to prove it to me.
Yeah. Man, the shit talk is fun in the chat tonight. I am enjoying it. As we got P. Diddy there.
Yeah, they gave him a computer in prison. That's pretty cool. He can type pretty well with those slippery hands too. I know he brought up the baby oil earlier. I don't see that as a crime. Baby oil is pretty cool.
Have we set odds if he's going to make it out alive? I think we should.
P. Diddy.
Yeah, I think that could be on the Epstein train. But
they're going to miss Mark Pope more than they realize, is what I'm saying.
No, I do think Mark Pope's a great coach. So that's one where I'm very curious to see the transition here. Moving forward, let's talk about these Cincinnati Bearcats. Wes Miller, I gotta be honest, I thought for a minute there, I thought he was going to get canned, and I think they took a step forward last season. Despite I know it's not historically like a great Cincinnati season, but I think they took a step forward, and they return a good amount of production here. Some of these guys have been in college 1,000 years, I feel like, but Day Thomas is back. Same with Dan Skillings Jr. Simus Lukosius is back, as well as CJ Frederick. What?
How old is he now?
He played with Rex Chapman. What the hell are we talking about here? Anyway,
Bob Huggins had fucking Cincinnati.
Yeah, good God. They also have Jizzle James. Please, I don't want to know how you got that name. Aziz Bandago as well, who flirted with the NBA draft, is back as well. They bring in Dylan Mitchell, remember, who had just fallen out there at Texas. Also, Connor Hickman from the Bradley Braves, Arrington Page from USC. They added a late guy from France, and Halvine Zalat. I have no idea. Look, the more we get into the European game, the more I need to be super drunk to read all these names. Tyler Betsy, also 4-star coming in, as well as Tyler McKinley. Honestly, it's very impressive. Now, John Newman, who was the related to Johnny Newman, the old Charlotte Hornet, he is finally gone. He was in college forever. Also, Audi Ugama is gone, as well as Victor Lakin there, or Lakin, I think it is, and Jameel Reynolds. So they took some hits, but I was starting to buy in. You want to talk about trajectory? I felt like this team's trajectory is headed up with this much returning production. Could they be a sleeper in this year's tournament? In this year's regular season, there in the Big 12, the Cincinnati Bearcats. Mac, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was talking with Noah last night about this team. This is my sleeper-ish team in the league. I think this team is a ranked team, top 25 team. They won 22 games in their first year in the Big 12. They bring back a large core of that team. They're physical. They got size, and they recruited for the Big 12, kind of trying to duplicate what Houston's been able to do with physicality. And they're super old. And Wes Miller in his fourth year. I think he's a pretty good coach. So. And if you remember, they were playing really well at the end of the year, too. They kind of took their runs early, then got better, beat Kansas in Kansas City. Love the Bearcats in 24-25. NCAA tournament team. Mark it.
Where are you at with Skyline Chili?
Oh, I love Skyline Chili.
Okay.
I love Cincinnati. It's good city.
Okay. We all have to answer that question. Yeah. Rush, curious your take on the Bearcats and where you're at with this whole Skyline Chili thing.
Love Skyline Chili. I've eaten it twice in a day when I visited Cincinnati.
Wow, that's bold.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Total clear out.
The family I was staying with probably didn't enjoy the toilet after, but it happens. This team lacked consistently last year, basically what we've all been alluding to. But they come back with depth. They have a year under their belt of Big 12 grinded out experience, and I'm on board with Mac here. I could see this kind of being that 8-9 team that goes to March Madness, and they have their legs under them, and they're able to pull forward here. I am curious how they're going to be, kind of like last year we talked about. They struggled a little bit early. They kind of need to get started right off the bat, I feel like, and show that consistency, as I was saying. But hey, if they're able to kind of get that fast start and settle in, I mean, I was going to say sky's the limit, but Skyline's the limit.
There you go.
Yeah.
My favorite was when Iowa State beat them in football last year, and that dude chugged the Skyline Chili after the game and then vomited. It was a great moment in sports history. Troy, Cincinnati, NCAA tournament this year. What do you think?
I would think so. I would say that, the end of the year when we were talking about them playing significantly better, it was a lot of Skillings, Lukosis, and Jizzle James actually kind of playing up to what we thought they would be. This has got to be the best named team in the Big 12, though, right? With Jizzle, you got Day, you got Bandalgo. I mean, they've got some crazy names on this team, and sometimes that's what you need. You get a couple more nationally televised games because people want to watch Jizzle James jizzle all over the place.
Apparently, son of Edgerrin James, which I just learned that. I know his other son's the running back for Howard. But that's quite fascinating, and I think I'm on board with the best named team thus far is the Cincinnati Bearcats. What do you think? You think NCAA tournament team?
Yeah, I do think so. I think that their age is going to help. It just feels like if you can get a couple of those early games in the Big 12 to give you a little bit of a cushion when it gets to bubble time, then that really helps. But I think they sneak in there. I could see them as like an 8 seed that gets a shot at a number 1 seed in the second round or something like that. Yeah.
I think they're right on that bubble to me. Mac, Rush, what do you guys think of Cincinnati? You think they're going to get in?
Yeah. I think this is a solid NCAA tournament. They got experience and depth, and they've gone through the Big 12, and it's a big year for Wes Miller. He needs to get the thing to the dance. It's a proud program.
Excited to see that because it's been a minute for them. They've gone through some tough ever since Mick left them. It's been tough.
That's a good home court too.
That is a very good home court.
Yep.
Next up, we're going to talk about my Colorado Buffaloes here, and
Look out, just watch him go. Down to Buffalo. Oh no, it's a guy on a Buffalo.
All right. Look, this team got absolutely fucking destroyed. That's an understatement. Tristan Da Silva, NBA. KJ Simpson, NBA. Cody Williams, NBA. Eddie Lampkin, Syracuse. Javon Hadley, gone. Luke O'Brien, gone. I mean, they're still playing college ball. Tristan Jackson, gone. I mean, what the hell am I looking at here? They did bring in, well, first they returned Julian Hammond III, which and Javon Ruffin. But man, they bring in some 4-stars though. Sebastian Rain. What's that?
Did Travis Hunter play?
Yeah, you should. You see his highlights, man. The guy can dunk.
Yeah.
And he's super athletic, as you would imagine. But they bring in Andrew Crawford, a 4-star. They also bring in the likes of Sebastian Rankic. They also have Bangat Dak back, who was a freshman a year ago, almost a 7-footer there. They bring in Washington State transfer Andrev Jakimowski, who played solid for them. Also, Trevor Baskin, a D2 transfer from Colorado Mesa. Oh man, is that the Ore Diggers? I think that is. Elijah Malone comes in, an NAIA transfer from Grace. Grace, she died 30 years ago. Wow. This team's going to be fucking horrible this year. And look, it takes a Colorado fan to tell you that. All right. Say, you know, I'm an honest guy. So a lot of people give me slack on the football front. And I say, dude, I locked up the under that final year of Carl Durrell. I am an honest Buffs fan. They're going to be bad. Now, Tad Boyle, I do believe like his eye for talent is good. So some of these guys that I'm like, who? It's like that scene in Major League when they're reading the roster. It's like, who the fuck is this? But I do believe his eye for talent is good. I've always questioned a little bit of the coaching front though, as far as like on the actual court, which makes me a skeptic in a conference with so much good coaching. So I am not very bullish on Colorado, and I think they will be flirting around the basement, if not solely in the basement there. Mac, am I wrong?
No, I'm puzzled by what they did in the offseason with this. Did they not get the memo that they were coming to the Big 12? Or are they just like tanking this year? This roster's horrible compared to all the other. This is by far the dead last team. Honestly, they do have the great home court in Boulder. They're going to struggle to win a game in the league. Like this team is so far below everybody from a roster standpoint.
Why would you not pay up and bring back Lampkin, O'Brien, Hadley? Like if you brought back those three and mixed in some of these freshmen and also some of the guys that were freshmen, then I'm thinking like, or from a year ago, then I would say they could be all right. I mean, I still don't think they would make a tournament, but what are we doing here? This is my theory, Bieniek. I know he's on the boards, but they start winning in football. You can't be good at both sports at once. So
they'll pick off 2 teams in Boulder, and I think they'll go 2-18 in 20 Big 12 games. This is a bad team. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm looking at Tad Boyle's had 1 losing season, make it 2 after this year in Boulder, because this team, they're not winning this league.
Rush, your thoughts on these Buffaloes?
Yeah, I was going to put the over under Big 12 wins 2.5. So I think we're speaking the same language, Mac. Not a good roster. You guys kind of said it all there. I mean, it seemed like they overperformed last year. They're going to, underperform this year. It's just, hopefully it's short-term pain. They settle into the Big 12, figure it out, and they'll, be good for the long term. But you asked why they hadn't paid all those guys. They probably used it all on the football team. Dion probably didn't let them pay it for the basketball team. They needed it for their football team. So unfortunately, Colby, I'm sorry, not much to say on these guys. And, hopefully they can play spoiler at times and mess with some seeding for other guys.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'll say is like, and even this kind of sucks a little bit because you now have 3 altitude teams. BYU, Utah, so it's like they're going to get used to it. You hope. I got to go team by team and say which teams get Colorado first, because that would be their advantage to stealing a couple games there. Yeah, I'm not bullish on them. Troy, you said you think they could make a run deep, right?
Yeah, we'll say that. I think the best part about the Colorado team being in the Big 12 this year is the visiting teams get to pick up some solid weed when they're on the road.
And mushrooms. And mushrooms.
And mushrooms. Yeah. That's true. Also, Jakimovsky is kind of like the name that got Sean the other day, the Mike Oxmall or whatever.
Jakimovsky.
Jakimovsky. That's a pretty good one. BYU did not offer him. So
clear mistake there.
I don't see too many bright spots right now. Maybe we will see them pick off a few teams, but not going out on a limb to say too much other than what everybody else has already said. Don't really see a lot here.
Yeah, this is one we drink, all right, or smoke or shroom, all right.
4K no los trace.
Yeah. It's all good fun there. Tough year there coming. Who's not going to have a tough year? It's the Houston Cougars. Kelvin Sampson. Let me talk to Sampson. I want Kelvin Sampson to get a national championship. I was hoping for him last season before, he's a little long in the tooth, so he's up there in age. But the good news is LJ Cryer's back using his 5th year of eligibility. Also, Emmanuel Sharp is back. Juwan Roberts, Javier Francis is back. Arsenault's back as well. Damn, everyone's back. Malik Wilson, using his 5th year, as well as Ramon Walker is back. Joseph Tugler. I mean, they bring in Uzan from Oklahoma, who can play. And remember, Arsenault was out for the year with an Achilles. So, I mean, we'll have to monitor. But they also bring in 3 4-stars: Chase McCartney, Jacob McFarland, Mercy Miller. Man, come on. Sure, they lose Jamal Shead and Damian Dunn. I'm not worried about that. I mean, Shead's a baller. I'm not gonna lie. And Damian Dunn, he's a nice piece out there. But I'm saying, come on. This has got to be the year. Gotta be the year. I just want one for Kelvin Sampson. He's been too good of a basketball coach during his lifetime. They've got to be in contention in all. I would imagine all 4 of us and all 5 of us, Noah on the boards, would have Houston as a top 3 team this year in the Big 12, top 4 at the furthest, right? Am I crazy, Mac? What do you think?
Yeah, top 5 nationally. Take it a step further. They're loaded. They are going to miss Shead. Don't get me wrong. His leadership. He was the Big 12 Player of the Year, and we saw when they had the lead against Duke, he goes down. The wheels fall off. They can't score at all. Can't manufacture any offense. But Uzan is good. I trust Kelvin Sampson to go find his point guard to replace Shead. So I think this is another, they played 33, 34 games in the regular season and Big 12 tournament, 28-5 right there to get a 1 or 2 seed come March. They're going to be, at first I'm like, maybe they take a step back. Then I saw a clip of them playing defense on Twitter. I said, no, they're not taking a step back. Kelvin Sampson's my guy.
I'm ain't falling for that shit.
Nah, I was like, I don't care who's he can make us 4. He'd put us 4 in the shell drome. We'd be flying around Garden. He's a hell of a coach.
Yeah. I'm excited to see him. I really would love for him to win a national championship. I honestly think coming into the year that if you told me, Dundee, give me one team to win the national championship that you would like to see win the national championship besides your favorite teams, I would say let's get Houston that national championship. Let's get Kelvin Sampson that national championship. Rush, where are you at with these Cougs?
Yeah, like Max said, they'll run through the Big 12, and by run through the Big 12, they'll do what they do, and what we saw last year. It's just defense is nothing we have to worry about. It's just, are they going to be able to produce on offense? And when it comes to Big 12 tournament time or March Madness, and they need to score a bucket, are they going to be able to do so? So. Of course, big shoes to fill with Shead being gone. So we'll see who's able to come in and, hopefully that they're able to, when it comes down to it, make a basket. So that's their biggest question, but just got to keep doing what they do. And, they'll solve that come tournament time.
Yeah. Troy, I know you're thinking Baylor to win the Big 12 and perhaps the national championship, but Houston might be standing in their way. Your thoughts on Houston, and are you concerned about them in this Big 12 race? Obviously, I think you are, right?
I think everybody's concerned with the fact that you lose a guy like Jamal Shead. but I think this team is significantly deeper than last year's Houston team. And I see Uzan as a plug and play. And I think you see Sharp kind of step up as an overall scorer instead of just a spot up shooter, where, LJ Cryer can fill that role as your spot up shooter guy. We've all said it. We know defense is going to be a problem. It's Kelvin Sampson. Tugler also probably not offered by BYU, but you bring all these guys back from a team that was an injury away still, we think, from at least competing really close for that national championship. But yeah, this is going to be a team that's standing in a lot of other teams' ways, not just Baylor. They're going to be good, and I feel like this is a solid year. The year after the year always seems like a good betting system for Houston to maybe take it all the way.
Plus 300 to win the regular season title there. So yeah, let's go. Moving forward, let's talk about TJ Otzelberger in Iowa State. It ain't always pretty, but damn, is it efficient. This was a hire when this happened. I was not sold on the hire. I thought it made a little bit of sense because of the familiarity with the program, but he is exceeded my expectations. They return a slew of, a decent amount of talent considering, the day and age that we're in. Lipsy is back and Gilbert at the guard spots. Monklevic. How do I pronounce this again?
Momcilovic.
Yeah, I never know how to fucking pronounce these names. Especially today when you start doing football again. It seems like a season ago, like a basketball season was like 3 years ago. That's what it feels like when you prep football for like 5 months. Curtis Jones also back, as well as Demarion Watson deep on the bench. They go out, they bring in a St. Mary's transfer and Joshua Jefferson, also Deshaun Jackson from the Clits of Charlotte, Brandon Chatfield, who played well at Seattle there, and Nate Heisey from Northern Iowa. They also bring in a 4-star and Nojus Indrusitis. Fuck off. Anyway, Caden Fish. All right. Also a freshman that they're excited about. And one of the things I thought that was very important about this offseason was hearing George Bush's comments on that.
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
So they didn't, they lost a few guys, but I'm saying, I feel like they're still in a decent spot. They lost Hassan Ward, Robert Jones, and Trey King. Trey King had been in college for 50 fucking years. All right. I kind of think they're going to be more of the same, which is going to be a pain in the ass team to play. Ames is always lit. I don't know that they'll take a step forward though. I just think they're the same. They're the same, which is going to be a tournament team, a good team. Am I off on Iowa State? You think there, Mac?
If they stay where they're at, kind of like Houston, that means it's a 30-game winner again. They finished 29-8 last year. Them and Houston 1-2 defensively. They bring back their guards. Lipsy's an absolute bulldog leader. I think and they're another team. They bring in transfers, and you just trust Otzelberger and his staff to plug and play. I like the kid Jackson coming over from Charlotte, a rim protector. Jefferson as well coming over from St. Mary's. Top 4 team in the Big 12 once again, and they're going to be dancing. I think they're going to get to the second weekend. It's just about, can they take the next step in March for me? Can they find a way to get from that Sweet 16, keep knocking on the door like Baylor was for all those years, and get to a Final Four and contend for national championship?
Yeah. Where do you put them on like the home environment meter?
2.
Yeah. That's a really
hard
place.
Who one is.
Yeah,
but yeah, they're
Colorado. I understand.
Hilton's a fucking motherfucker to play at. That place is always lit.
Rush, your thoughts on Iowa State? Don't you have family connected to Iowa State, right?
Yeah, my great uncle was a professor there. And we're not speaking this week because West Virginia and Iowa State have a big Coal Rush game on Saturday. So I am going to play a little devil's advocate, maybe because we are playing them in football this week. I think, like you guys are saying, is the question for Iowa State is, can they take a step forward? I think this is a very complete team. However, I think with the addition, like adding Arizona to this, Arizona can kind of has the ability to sneak past Iowa State. And I think sometimes, even with how good Iowa State is, sometimes when you don't take that next step in life, even though you're not necessarily going backwards, it can sometimes cause frustration and you can stutter a bit. And they have high hopes going into the season. They won the Big 12 tournament. And they're looking to get to that Final Four. And, I could potentially see them being an early bounce from the Big 12 tournament and that frustration carrying over into March Madness. Now, of course, I could easily eat crow on that, and they do take that step forward. But I'm kind of in line with what you guys are saying, is they kind of feel like the same team, and sometimes that doesn't help you. And they kind of feel like an every other year team where they're really great one year and then, lower expectations the following, and then they're really great the following year. So I'm the one saying don't be surprised if they take a little step back. Now, an Iowa State step back is, trust me, a lot of teams would be more than happy to be in that position where, if they were to take a step back. But like I said, I think there's some interest here with some Iowa State.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes if you're stagnant, but yet still like top 25 good, you can build on that. Troy, your thoughts on the Cyclones?
Well, we know Taman Lipsey's a baller, but I think they have a chance to take a step forward because Momcilovic was just a freshman last year. And I feel like he has like baller star potential in him. And if that comes out, that's their hope of taking a step forward. It is kind of funny we're giving TJ Otzelberger like the Kelvin Sampson treatment. Like, oh yeah, they're coached by TJ Otzelberger. Their defense is going to be baller. I don't see a problem with it, but it is, a testament that that's what people believe already with him there. And I don't, like I said, I don't disagree with it. I see them as a top 4 seed or a top 5 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I would say that would be accurate. Larry cracking me up in the chat.
He's on fire.
Yeah. Larry, what you're referring to is this.
What you just said. Insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Prepared. All right.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
That's great.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
That's an Iowa fan. He's giving you shit, buddy. All right. He's coming in there giving you shit. He's an Iowa fan, got to be an Iowa fan or maybe a Kansas fan. But speaking of Kansas, let's turn the page to the Jayhawks, where Bill Self let me down last year. He kind of like punted on the season too. I felt like some of his comments was like, what the fuck, man? Still got season left. DeJuan Harris is back. He's a baller. Hunter Dickinson is back, unfortunately, using his 5th year. KJ Adams is back. Okay. They're gonna be good, I think. All right. Just don't quit in the middle of the season. All right. They went out and just absolutely killed it in the portal. They had early time to do this shit too. I feel like, man, they were just loading up early in on this. They went out and got AJ Storr from Wisconsin, Rylan Griffin from Alabama, Zeke Mayo from South Dakota State, Shaquille Moore from Mississippi State, David Coit from Northern Illinois. Good God. I mean, they lost McCullough. They lost Timberlake, who didn't even really I thought he might be a bigger addition a season ago coming over from Towson, but no. Parker Braun also gone, but man, and what, they lost Furphy there, but I'd say they won the transfer portal. How do you not have Kansas as like the team to beat here, or at least in the mix. It's Kansas, so they should always be in the mix. But I thought they did an unbelievable job in the transfer portal. Maybe the best of any team in the nation. Mac, your thoughts?
Yeah, I got up and went and got myself another beer because I didn't want to listen to you talk about Kansas, how good they're going to be. So the last two times, and you mentioned it, Bill Self, he kind of started prepping early for this because last year's team was dead. They got banged up. And then they started moving on for 24-25. The last two times he's kind of done that where they bowed out early in the round of 32, got humiliated. Was next year was a COVID year. They went 28-3. They were going to be the number 1 overall seed before the tournament got canceled. The next year, back in 22, they won the national championship. They're the best team in the country from a roster standpoint. I don't think that's even really a debate, to be honest. Harris back for his 5th year. He's kind of a glue guy, point guard. They don't have to rely on Dickinson as much, in my opinion, this year. They got Adams back as a glue guy, and then they brought in guys on the wing that can score and make shots to spread the floor out for Dickinson and Griffin, Storr, and Mayo. This team's loaded. They're going to be right there to win another 18th Big 12 title for Bill Self and cut down the nets in wherever the Final Four is this year.
Yeah, from a roster standpoint, I think it's the best roster in the Big 12. Doesn't mean they'll win it.
Yep.
But it's the best roster in the Big 12. Rush, your thoughts on these Jayhawks?
Yeah, a little disappointing last year. And I think because of that, they went out and they got ballers. They got players. I think you have to worry about what Larry was saying here. Dickinson in the lineup, he is a liability at times. And then at times he's the best player in college basketball. It's just what version are you getting with them? I think with Kansas being bad last year, bad to their standards, I think that's what propels them this year and moving forward. And I think everyone watch out. Kansas is going to be on a revenge tour.
Yeah. Plus 240. Troy, you're going to take any of that action?
Yeah, most likely. When you look at the guys they return between, like Harris and Adams, I know Dickinson can actually step out and hit some shots, but it's not always the most consistent. Their biggest issue was 3-point shooting. And they go get, Griffin, they go get Mayo, they go get Coit, all guys that can hit shots. And the one thing that trio of Harris, Adams, and Dickinson can do is they can move the ball pretty well. They just need to hit those shots. And it seems like Bill Self attacked that really hard in the transfer portal, and they're going to be in it until the very end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Colby, call me crazy if they're not happy with Dickinson for whatever reason, like at times defensively again, they can slide KJ Adams to the 5 and play 4 guards around Adams. They were a 1 seed overall 2 years ago with Adams at the 5, so they kind of can play big and small.
Yeah. Shout out to Daquan, the great longtime listener, hell of a good guy. November 8th, Kansas, North Carolina. He says, hammer Kansas right now. Let's go. That makes a lot of sense though, Mac. This roster is so talented. It's going to be interesting. Dickinson, many have said can be a cancer sometimes to your team. Well, we'll see, because we'll be able to load up the numbers with him sitting on the bench and compare the two. But yeah, it should be a fascinating season there. And if you're a Kansas fan, you're saying we got the boys back together. Let's go. But if you're a Kansas fan, you also hate Kansas State. And Jerome Tang was rolling 2 years ago, but hit rough seas last season, and the whole team is gone. Yeah, that's how you fix it. All right. Yeah, Tyler Perry, William McNair, both gone. But then Cam Carter, see ya. All right. Quest Glover, see ya. Art Kaluma, see ya. Day Ames, see ya. Jarrell Colbert, see ya. I mean, they just emptied the. You're looking at this team now. You're saying, "Oh, they brought David and Gesson back." That's about it. They bring in a 4-star in David Castillo. Taj Manning is technically back as well as McLeod Rich. But the good news is they did kind of kill it in the portal. Bringing in Coleman Hawkins, Doug McDaniel, Brendan Halsen, Max Jones from Cal State Fullerton. And by the way, if you're not familiar, Hawkins was a beast at Illinois. McDaniel was Noah's favorite player at Michigan. Brent and Halsen from Nova there. They also brought in how do I say this again? Ugana and Senso. Onyenso. I don't know. Fucking
Kentucky.
Yeah, he was good. He was solid at Kentucky. Played minutes, but I'm saying didn't like kill it. Max Jones though from Cal State Fullerton was very good, and CJ Jones comes in from UIC. Baye Fall from Arkansas with Eric Musselman. Accor from Samford. I mean, it's not Kansas in the portal, but damn if they didn't kill it. But how fast can this all work out, man? I have so many questions, but damn it if they're not pretty talented. I think it's a better roster than last year. Mac, your thoughts on K-State?
What? So we said BYU is the wild card team. I think this is the wild card team because Coleman Hawkins is a walking wild card himself. I mean, I personally love his game with how he can guard multiple positions, but his mannerisms and his craziness can get in the way of winning at times. But he's been a part of 2 Big Ten titles. Same with Aker. I mean, coming over from Samford, he was on that really good team last year. The big fella from Kentucky's good. Doug McDaniel, we've heard Noah talk about him at length. I kind of think middle of the pack NCAA tournament team, not as good as year one with Tang, the Elite 8 year, but not as bad as last year. I think they're somewhere in the middle.
Are you concerned with that many players though at once? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I could also see a scenario where they miss the NCAA tournament.
Yep, I'm with you.
Rush, where you at with these Kansas State Wildcats?
Yeah, Jerome Tang needs to figure it out this year and figure out how to get in this tournament. Like you were just talking about, Colby, I'm concerned when you bring in this many players and how they mesh and how long it takes them to mesh. As we know, the Big 12 is the standard for college basketball. It's the best league in the land. And, a team that's bringing in a lot of players to mesh and figure it out, not a lot of patience there. So you better figure it out in the non-con, because if you don't figure it out in the non-con, it's going to be very hard to figure out in the Big 12. So I'm very fascinated by Kansas State. I would agree with you, Mac. This is probably my biggest wild card team.
Yeah. Troy, K-State buying the hype. Are they a tournament team for you?
I think I would stay away from a lot of futures on this team. Everybody else is saying wild card. They seem like the team with the biggest possible gap between ceiling and floor. Like there's a chance that it all works out and they're way better than we think, but there's also a chance that it completely implodes with all of these transfers. My biggest issue is Onyenso, Hawkins, and Akor all play center. So 3 of your biggest transfer guys you get in, you're going to be forced to play pretty big, which we were just talking about how fast Arizona can go, how Kansas State can play multiple styles, how Baylor can go 4 guards. That could be an issue in itself. So that kind of worries me off.
Yeah. I'm a skeptic here, even though I like the roster.
It's a fascinating team.
Yeah.
I have no clue what's going to happen.
Yeah. I just think, I don't know. Is there pressure on them though? I don't know that there's pressure at Kansas State as long as the football team performs, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, Bruce Weber got about 10 years there. But he did win a Big 12 title. I know Tang went to the Elite 8. I think he at least, if he misses this one, I think he at least gets another year.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next team, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Mike Boynton is 10 years over. Remember, the NCAA fucked over his best team. Appreciate you, NCAA, ruining the lives of young adults as they, what they report like some bullshit infraction. Anyway, now they bring in Steve Lutz. It's a Beverly Hills Cop pullback there. Shout out and rest in peace to Taggart, Sergeant Taggart from Beverly Hills Cop, just passed away the other day. Look, he comes over from Western Kentucky, Steve Lutz, where they were my boys last year, Mac. Yep. So I mean, hey, what am I missing here? Just give him the Big 12 championship now. All right. Bryce Thompson's back after missed the end of the season last year, and this is year 5 for him. Besides that, they got just 2 other players back that didn't play many minutes. So the portal was crazy here in Stillwater. John Michael Wright also, gone. Jarius Hicklin gone. Mike Marsh gone. Just a slew of players gone. But they did bring in Devontae Davis from Arkansas. Kind of like that get. 5th-year senior. Khalil Brantley from LaSalle. LaSalle was a darling of mine too. They also brought in Marcellus Avery from UCF. Abu Usman from Xavier. Arturo Dean from the airport. Robert Jennings II from Texas Tech. Brandon Newman follows over coach from Western Kentucky as a grad transfer as well. Patrick Sunick coming in from Dub V. Tyler Karen from St. Mary's, Texas. I will say this: they got like what? Am I counting this correctly? 7 5th-year seniors or grad transfers.
I know.
Maybe they could be better than what I think, but I mean, this is a team to me towards the cellar here with Colorado. But I mean, they're experienced. I'll say that they're experienced. Mac, your thoughts on these Cowboys?
I think this is a macro take. I'm not very high on the roster. I mean, they lost Javon Small, who was their point guard last year, to West Virginia, and then they lost their entire team as well. But at the same time, I think Lutz is a really good coach. What he did at Western Kentucky, Corpus Christi, 20+ wins, 3 straight years. I think they got the right guy there. I'll make the comparison. I think this is the Willie Fritz of football this year. I think they're going to be chippy in February, get better and better as the year goes on. But from a roster standpoint, they're at the basement. So definitely bottom 3-4 team in this league.
Yeah. I got to ask you, Rush, Oklahoma State, your thoughts on them exceeding expectations, perhaps?
Well, it's pretty easy to exceed expectations when there are no expectations. So I think kind of what Mac was alluding to, right? Lutz is a great hire. And I think long-term he'll serve Oklahoma State. Right. But the concerns that I had with Kansas State are the same concerns with Oklahoma State, having a bunch of new guys in there. However, there are guys with experience. And so that's the right type of guys if you're going to have a bunch of new guys. You just got to show promise. You got to show that you're getting better. You got to get, if you can get your fan base to buy in, that is your goal for this year. Obviously, you always bring up Colby, the bad football team, good basketball team, and vice versa. Oklahoma State is struggling in football this year, so maybe the basketball team can.
Big year happening this year.
It is. So
if he gets this team in the tournament, he's coach of the year in the Big 12.
Absolutely. But I'm just saying, get buy-in. Just show that you can improve day in, day out. That's all you have to do.
Yeah. Troy, I know you are, you're a Baylor fan, but I feel like, there's some Stillwater blood in you that kind of has you all conflicted. Are you high on your second or third favorite team in the conference? I don't know what to fucking say here. I know you like Oklahoma State. All right.
Yeah. Pretty big Pokes fan. And no, I'm not really high overall in the conference. I think what you'll see is this is a money line dog team, 4 or 5 matchups in the Big 12, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be in Stillwater. The fact that they're going to run Lutz's, one of the higher tempo offenses that we see in college basketball, and he's got a lot of short guys, so we know this team's going to try to play small and fast, but they're all pretty good 3-point shooters. So there's a chance against some of these really good teams that they have a game where, they shoot 50% from the 3-point line and pick somebody off that's way out of their league. But I think that their ceiling is right around there where it's a spoiler team.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, what happened to the days? They were kicking ass back in the day, making Final Fours, Big Country Reeves.
We gotta get it going again, man.
I know they got to get it going again. Speaking of getting it going again, I have been foolish enough at, I think, both points in the past 2 years. I've taken a future on TCU to win the national championship, or no, maybe it was to make the Final Four. I got to remember, I got to look back, but, I ate shit on them every time in the NCAA tournament. And, that's always a great feeling. Look, they kind of got hit but I don't know. I mean, they they were underwhelming, I would say, in second half of the season. Jameer Nelson Jr. is gone. Chuck O'Bannon Jr. is gone. Avery Anderson III is gone. Maybe stop getting guys that are juniors and thirds, and I don't know. Maybe that's something to do with it. Micah Peavy transferred out. Jacoby Coles transferred out. Emmanuel? Did I say Emmanuel Miller? I don't even remember if I said that yet. He's gone. Xavier Cork gone. Trey Tennyson gone. I mean, it's like a brand new fucking team here. They bring back Uday though, the big man, Ernest Uday, who played about 17 minutes a game for them a season ago. And they go out in the portal and bring in Frankie Collins from Arizona State. Hey, he can play, man. Noah Reynolds also from Green Bay with Sundance Wicks. They also bring in Trezarian White from UNC Wilmington, a guy that I caught live. What was it, a year ago? He can play. Also, Brendan Wenzel from the Wyoming Cowboys, as well as Vicine Alete from ODU. Couple 4-stars coming in as well. Michael Robinson, David Punch, and Jace Posey. I don't know, man. I kind of think I get it. You brought in a bunch of seniors, and I like Jamie Dixon. I think though he'll have them, in the mix for the tournament. But I kind of think I like the past 2 years roster better than this year's. So I'm going to say slight regression. But still might make the NCAA tournament. Mac, your thoughts on Jamie Dixon and the Frogs?
Interesting team. Like you said, I want to kind of just blindly back Jamie Dixon. Regular season Jamie Dixon, 3 straight NCAA tournaments. He's kind of made the expectation at TCU that we think they're going to be in the dance every year. It has not been that way before he got there. So he's done a great job. He's going to get to 500 total wins this year for his career. I like the guards that they brought in, Collins and Reynolds. I think also he might be a guy that he needs a new group because he grinds those guys once they're in the second, third year in the system, being an older school guy. They've been 9-9 in the league the last couple of years. I say they're around 500 again in league play.
Yeah, I think so. Shout out to Damani in the chat as well. Clark, Damani. Some of these guys been with us a long time. Hell of a crew we got. Rush, your thoughts on these Horned Frogs?
Yeah, as Ryan was alluding to with Jamie Dixon kind of, grinding guys out. It gets late in the season, and we saw this with TCU. They just seem tired. I went to that TCU West Virginia game at the end of the season, and yeah, they beat us pretty good, but West Virginia wasn't too great last year. And I don't know. It just came across as a lot of the players just weren't really responding. He is an old school coach, and in today's college era and the way things go, you kind of have to worry about those old school coaches sometimes, and if they're able to adapt. I'm not really high on this TCU team. Maybe the fact that they do have a lot of new players, what he said doesn't fall on deaf ears, but they just, I don't know what it is. I'm just concerned that his players don't respond to him nowadays like they once did.
It seems like as the season goes along, they get worse.
Yes.
They peak in January.
Yeah. Because that's when I buy my future every year. I'm like, you know what? They're looking great. None of them I did that. I did not do that sober though. Troy, TCU tournament team this year?
I don't know. The way that college basketball is transitioning to, sadly become more like the NBA game where it's run and gun. All of their offseason acquisitions between White, Frankie Collins, Alette, and Reynolds, they're all mid-range guys and slashers. Spacing could definitely be an issue. Obviously, we kind of trust Jamie Dixon because he's been around the block long enough to maybe figure it out. But I do think that getting clogged up in the paint could kind of become an issue for this team.
Yeah. Clark's high on a few transfers on this team. Yeah, we got a few. I know a power episode here. I mean, fuck, Rush has just got out of surgery. Yeah, we fucking make him do what is this? The Dances with Wolves of college basketball previews here. But let's talk about Texas Tech. Grant McCasland. We like the hire. Obviously, last year they weren't amazing, but how will it look this year? JT Toppin coming in from New Mexico, Elijah Hawkins from Minnesota, Federico from Pitt. I like that kid. Kevin Overton from Drake. And don't forget Devin Cambridge. Is he back from injury? I need to check up on that. They also bring in a 4-star Jazz Anderson. Great name. Kerwin Walton is back. Chase McMillan's back. Darion Williams. Fun roster. I think maybe they take a little step forward this year. So sign me up for that. Mac, what do you think of Texas Tech?
I really like this team, and I like McCaslin a lot. His JUCO days, working for Scott Drew, what he did at North Texas, 20-plus wins every year, 5 years there. Gets to Texas Tech, dumpster fire when he got there, by the way, with how Adams left it. Gets 23 wins, gets to the dance. I like the roster, man. I think they have an identity. I like Hawkins coming over from Minnesota, Toppin over from New Mexico, Federico, if he could stay healthy. Dude, I think that this team is going to be the typical Texas Tech, play defense, grind you under McCaslin, and be easily an NCAA tournament team. Them and Cincinnati are kind of right there, top 25 teams for me.
Yeah. Rush, where you at with these Red Raiders?
Texas Tech was fantastic last year. Finished 4 in the Big 12. McCaslin, clearly it's the opposite of what I said with Jamie Dixon. They're responding to him and what he does as a coach. It really excited to see what he draws up this year. And if they could even take a step forward, I think, the Kansases, the Iowa States, the Arizonas, the Houstons, you watch out for this Texas Tech team. They got something cooking up in Lubbock.
Yeah. Yeah. Where you at? I know, rivals of the Baylor Bears. Where you at, Troy, with these Red Raiders?
I think their biggest issue from a Grant McCaslin standpoint was his defenses were pretty good at North Texas. And then they've kind of not been that great, but I want to attribute it to some of the injuries they've had. I know some of the Tech fans were worried about replacing Pop Isaacs's offensive production, but there were nights where he was, 2 of 8 or 2 of 9 from the 3-point line and would jack up 4 or 5 more shots and, really get your team out of any kind of a run scenario. If you're just going to run down the court, take 8 seconds off the shot clock and back rim one and have to run back on defense. I do think that this team takes a step forward though. And I agree with Mac. They're actually the Cincy and Tech in my rankings are one of the spots where I don't know who to put above the other. I'm kind of stuck. If they stay healthy, they can always play JT Toppin at that 5 spot and go small as well. This is a very interesting team at 25-1. I think it is almost worth a shot. You might have to eat some juice to see how they perform for a few games, but man, this is a team that could definitely be in the running too.
Yeah, I don't know if I see them as a contender to win the conference, but I just think they're going to be. They could make a further trip in March, perhaps.
Yeah,
4 or 5 seed in March. They're right there. That 4 or 5 seed. Yep.
No one's going to want to play them.
Yeah. This is an interesting team next. UCF, Johnny Dawkins, former DeMatha grad. I'm intrigued by this team because of the guards. Darius Johnson back, Jalen Sellers back. They bring in Keyshawn Hall from George Mason, who played well there. Interesting guard play there. Of course they Dior Johnson also is another guy that I'm curious if he's actually going to be on the roster here, because I've seen reports of that. But Benny Williams transfers in from Syracuse. Remember he for whatever reason had to leave upstate New York there. Rokas. How do I pronounce this again? This guy was good last season for LaSalle. Joikus. Jordan Ivy Curry comes in from UTSA. They actually lit it up at UTSA there. And then Debo Coleman from Georgia Tech transfers in. JJ Taylor from Memphis, as well as Mikey Williams. They lost a ton, but I kind of think this year's roster could be better than last year's. Yes, they lose CJ Walker, DeMar Langford, Omar Payne, Diallo, the big man. I don't know, man. I feel like this team is better than last year, but I don't know how many more wins they'll result in. But I feel like this team's improved. Mac, what do you think of this team?
Yeah, so they won 17 last year, 7-11 in league play, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought they were going to be a dumpster coming in, but the guards are good. Johnson and Sellers coming back, 30 points between the two of them. They added a couple pieces in the portal, Hall coming over from Mason, and then Benny Williams from Syracuse, and then a kid from LaSalle. Johnny Dawkins been around the block. I kind of think that they're going to be a little bit better. They ran the NIT. Maybe this is a team that could maybe flirt with the bubble, is what I think with UCF.
Yeah. Rush, where you're at with these very golden Knights?
Very shiny golden Knights. Johnny Dawkins, hats off to him and the job he did last year. I remember all of us covering over at the Big 12 College Experience, and I was out on him before the season, and I will say that I was absolutely wrong. Very impressed with the job that he did, taking UCF to the NIT. I think Mac's right. I think their ceiling is kind of being a bubble, a French team for March Madness. Sometimes you worry about these teams overperforming, right? The next year that, they regress a little bit and, it averages out. So you got to worry about that. But man, they're a fun team to watch. They keep the games competitive, and, with where they are in Florida, I mean, travel's not great for them when they have to go out, but it's not great for their opponents either. So definitely an interesting storyline there at UCF.
Yeah, Clark asked if Jalen Sellers is back. Yes, he is. Shout out to you, Troy. What do you make of these goals down there? It looks like you're in fucking Florida. Well, not right now because there's a hurricane, but I feel like you're always in a Florida state of mind.
Yeah, I'm a Florida guy. They're the only team besides Kansas and Iowa State to bring back their two top scorers, which that's probably one of the times you can list UCF with Kansas and Iowa State when we're talking about basketball. So you got to take the opportunity to do so. This is a team that has a way higher ceiling than anybody's giving credit to, just because of Benny and Mikey Williams. If those two guys can play, and if they pan out to anywhere near what they were expected to be, this could be a significantly better team than what we expect. Again, I don't know about in the actual conference chase, but I do see them picking off plenty of teams this year. Pretty high on UCF. I think somebody mentioned they were at 19 wins on the over-under with 17 last year, and how impressed we were with Johnny Dawkins. I feel like 19 is very accomplishable.
Let's go. Let's talk about these Utah Utes. Craig Smith, man, they were a tough team for me last year, man. Just when you think certain games they got it, or they have big leads and they blow it. I like Craig Smith from his Utah State days, but last season, man, I felt like I could not get my finger on the pulse of this Utah team. It was a hard team to bet. They go out, these filthy guys go out and bring in Ezra Usar from East Carolina. You prick bastards going into Greenville. Can't, you're sitting over there. Just sit there in Utah, get some Utah talent. You got to come out to Greenville. Also, Lawson Lovering, the former Colorado Buffalo, on the team. Then Mason Madsen from Boston College coming in, and then Mike. How do I say this again? He was a solid player at the Dons of San Francisco. Sharva Jomps. Get me the fuck off this episode. Myro Little from Baylor comes in as well. They still have Gabe Madsen. So Madsen brothers in effect. Keanu Dawes comes in from Rice, former 4-star recruit. Zach Keller from Wake Forest. Caleb Lohner from Baylor. He's playing football for him too. So wow. Look, they lost some guys, man, that contributed. Brandon Carlson's gone. Ben Carlson's gone. Davion Smith is gone. I mean, they lost some guys. Worcester gone. I'm just not buying it yet. Not buying it. They were a hard team for me last season, though. So to take it with a grain of salt. I actually think if you had to list the Power Fives, they might have been the team I struggled with most night in, night out against the spread. Mac, your thoughts on these Utes?
Yeah, so Craig Smith, year number 4 now. They've made a nice solid trajectory, 11 to 17 to 22. But the problem, like you said last year's team should have been an NCAA tournament team. I thought that from a roster standpoint, they were there, but they just came up short, lost too many close games. They lose the Carlson, they lose Smith to St. John's. I mean, they got a couple guys coming back, but it's just a lot of missing pieces, a lot of question marks. They're in the bottom 4 for me in year one. Sorry, Utes fans. You got football. Yeah. You better hope Cam Rising gets healthy.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll get injured going to the basketball game. Just the sight of watching Utah basketball this year. Rush, now's your time to shit on Utah basketball. Why did you say that their whole team plays like they have syphilis?
Because they're in Salt Lake City, a disgusting smoggy area, of course, and they're 30 minutes away from beautiful Provo. But I will give them a little bit of love. Our guy Josh Eilert is there, so I can't hate on them too much. Yeah, basically since the 90s, it's been a rough history for the running Utes. I know they kind of overperformed last year, doing well in the NIT, but like Max said, last year was kind of their chance to make a statement. And if their statements doing well in the NIT, then yep, that's Utah for you. So yep, stinky, like you said, Troy.
Yeah. Troy, your thoughts on these Utes?
Last year's team, lots of experience, still came up short. This year's team, not much experience, probably going to come up even shorter. And I'm surprised we've been, the Utah BYU shitting on everything. You got to get the gun sound effect ready because Kiba Kita transferred from Utah to BYU.
Yeah, I mean,
that's nasty. That's nasty. You shouldn't be allowed to do that.
The best looking man.
Well, almost played Ric Flair. He did not deserve Ric Flair.
No.
Yeah. Continue on. I'm sorry.
Just not that high on this team. Maybe we'll see them play a little bit better near the end of the year with some of these guys coming together. But man, you've got a shot that like Mason Madsen's the best scorer on the team, which might not be the greatest thing in the Big 12. You might have issues with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. You filthy animals. I thought
no one wants to do this one.
I was hoping the power was going to cut off here. Next up, we got the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Morgantown, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Good old Morgantown, WP.
The West Virginia Mountaineers. Hey, it was rough seas last year. We all know that. But, I mean, I'm just going to let you take why should we be taking West Virginia? Did I have internet problems right now? I think I did. But Mac,
the song, baby.
You are close to the program.
Mm-hmm.
Explain what you think last season was and what happened this year to make you think to give you optimism.
Well, we're 2 hours in, so let's cut to the chase on last year. Last year's in the past, and I never want to talk about it ever again, and neither does my liver because that was a brutal, brutal year. Obviously, the offseason shit with Hugs, how it ended, sucks. The 15 years of success, shitty how it ended, but it was a hell of a run. We move on to Darren DeVries now, and DeVries won 20-plus games 6 straight years at Drake. The guy
hell of a good job.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest knock on him is they couldn't get it done in March. They blew an 8-point lead with 4 minutes to Miami. They blew a double-digit lead to Wazoo. So it's but hey, man, if that's the problem, that's nitpicking. That's pretty good. He brings over the Missouri Valley Player of the Year and Tucker DeVries, his son, for 5th year. Javon Small from Oklahoma State, who's solid. Sincere Harris, Toby Okani. Also Yesufu, who was at KU and Wazoo as well. Jaden Stone from Detroit. And Amani Hansberry as well from Illinois, and then the big kid from Fresno, Andre. So
one quick question, Mac. Yesufu was on that Drake team, right?
Yes.
Yeah, at the very beginning, he made a big shot in the playing game that one year, the bubble. So he's ancient. He's been there. He's been there since the beginning of DeVries. This is going to be a bubble team, in my opinion. I think he can coach, man, but I'm worried about the size going against Big 12 teams year in and year out, night in and night out. We just previewed all 15 teams, the good coaches, the good home court atmospheres. This is the first time DeVries is going to go through it. I like him as a coach long term, but there's going to be some growing pains.
I was going to ask, like, what they bring in 3 Power 5 transfers? You know, I feel like sometimes you say, how will they do with this step up? Was it 4? Yeah. Okay. Are you concerned about the step up for everyone else that came in?
Oh, absolutely. Especially for Tucker, because Tucker goes from being at the top of the scouting report at a Missouri Valley level to at the top with Houston, Kelvin Sampson, Otzelberger at Iowa State, Scott Drew, Baylor, Bill Self, Kansas go down, McCaslin at Texas Tech, Cincinnati, blah, blah, blah. I have my concerns, but I think they're going to be good at home, protect home court, find a way to win 18, 19 games, and sneak into that bubble. Let's go. Right side of the bubble come March.
All right. Rush, your thoughts?
Yeah, concerned too with Tucker as he's coming off shoulder surgery as well. So seeing how we'll respond there. Ryan brought it up, and everyone go check out the Ryan and Rush show for the West Virginia side of things. Small team, very small team. DeVries talked about it in his opening press conference. He does want to play fast. He wants to get shots off fast. And so we'll see if he'll be able to do that. That's a hard thing to do in the Big 12. Of course, you worry about these guys step up, like you said, Colby. It is a really big concern. And DeVries, we know how he can do at Drake. How can he do not only at a Power 4 school, but the toughest conference in the Power 4? So a lot of questions with this team. Curious how all of these guys are going to mesh. They did have they were out in Italy, I think it was, Ryan. So, those European trips, hopefully that helped and can propel them into the non-con season. But I agree with Ryan. Hopefully, they're a bubble team, maybe that play-in 10, 11 game, but a lot of questions in Morgantown. But the bright side, as we're saying, nothing can be anywhere close to as bad as it was last year. So there is a lot of optimism, but of course it's that cautious optimism.
Yeah. Troy, look, those guys are, they host the Ryan and Rush show. Let's have a conversation, Troy.
Let's snap back to reality here. This team is not going to be that great. I think by the end of the year they will be. I think we can trust DeVries to coach the team up. I also could pretty much guarantee that this is going to be a faster climb than Neil Brown over the next 2 or 3 seasons for DeVries.
Like it.
I like Javon Small as a Pokes fan, and DeVries himself, the kid, is a pretty good player, but getting Okani to come over is going to be pretty big for them. As we were talking about DeVries being at the top of the scouting report for some of these other teams, Okani's a asshole on defense. He's long and hard to get around. That could be a good matchup that you put on like another team's top scorer at the guard position, or even, if you want to play him on a smaller forward or something like that. But I feel like we'll be looking back and saying that was one of the more important transfers they got, but not a complete basement dweller, but I still think they're in the bottom third here.
I think I agree with you, buddy. Let's get to those rankings. Bieniek behind the boards. Come on out here, you crazy bastard. You've been sitting back there watching
Detroit Tigers highlights again.
Me off the bench.
Gary Bonds coming off.
And then this. Yeah, Gary Bonds.
There we go. Let's get to it. Team 16 for me is the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Look, I'm going to respect my guys just a little bit. All right, just a little bit. Oklahoma State dead last, 16th place. Mac, who's your number 16?
You can't even name a guy on the Colorado's team. 16, Colorado. This is I like Tab Boyle as a coach. I mean, what he's done at Colorado, but this is his worst team by far.
Noah, 16.
Yeah, 16th, I've got the Colorado Buffaloes. According to Torvik, this is by far the youngest roster in the Big 12 entering this season. There may be some experience in that starting 5, but there are 2 non-D1 transfers coming in to D1's best conference, and there's no depth at all in Boulder. So
let me tell you this:
player potential here
This is why they're not eight. This is why they're not 16th. He's got a good eye for talent. I really believe he does. And that, as long as that can grow up throughout the season, by the time conference play comes, you could steal a game or two. Rush, who do you got at 16?
So 1-19.
Sure. One win against Oklahoma State. Rush, who do you got at 16?
Sorry, Colby. I'm joining the crowd with Colorado. It's a dumpster fire in Boulder.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's okay. You guys are going to be wrong in football. And, it's okay. Troy, what are you doing at 16?
I will not be joining the crowd with Colorado down here. I think some of the D2 transfers might be better than you think. Utah is the worst team in the conference.
Woo, there we go.
I like it. There we go, Troy.
Let's go. At 17, I got my
15.
buffs. I'm sorry, 16. 15. Jesus, these fucking conferences these days. I need another drink just for that.
17 buffs would have been a very funny bit, though, to be like, no, they're not 16.
Yeah, they're 17, right? No, 15 is my Colorado Buffaloes. I have them neck and neck with another team there at 14, but they lose out on a tiebreaker. Not dead last, though. Not dead last. Who do you got at 15, Mac?
The Cowboys. Like the hire, but I think it's going to take a year.
Noah?
Yeah, I got Oklahoma State 15th. I want to believe more in Steve Lutz after what he did in year 1 at Western Kentucky, what he did at Corpus Christi, but this is a small roster, and I don't know if they have enough shooters to survive the Big 12 gauntlet.
Rush?
People aren't going to like this, but I'm going to pick Arizona State here. I think they're going to be fun at times, but I think those wheels are going to fall off pretty early. Maybe they get their first Big 12 win, and we may not sniff another one.
Wow. Love it. Troy, what do you got at 15?
Man on a Buffalo goes at 15. I do have a debate with them. I do have a debate with them, and even my Cowboys there at the next spot up. But I'm going to use my bias the way that I expect that you did the same. But Buffalo's at 15.
Yeah. Look, as long as they're not dead last, you're a good man. All right. Look, at 14, I do have those Utah Utes. Staples are sharp in Salt Lake City, and they're not as experienced as they were a year ago. And I honestly think Colorado might be able to steal that spot, by the way. I don't think Utah is that much better than Colorado. If anything, I think Colorado is going to be way more athletic than Utah. But I have Utah just a little more experience. I think that's the deciding factor of why I got him at 14. Mac, who do you got at 14?
I went back and forth, and I think the team is like a 15, 16 win team because, all the Big 12 does is manipulate the net. Arizona State, I think, has a good non-con, and then they just fall on their face in league play. So give me the Sun Devils. Forks up. Forks down.
Yeah, about to say, David Matola's offended.
He hates Arizona State. He's happy.
Oh yeah, forks down is what he says. Bieniek, who do you got at 14?
I have UCF 14th. Look, there are a lot of up transfers on this roster that make me nervous.
Nice.
The offense, I don't know where it's going to come from outside of Darius Johnson and Jalen Sellers. I have questions around character on some of these guys. Others transferring from losing programs. And one last thing, Johnny Dawkins has only had one top 100 offense during his 7 seasons in Orlando. I just don't see it.
14 for you, Rush.
Man, if Noah doesn't like your character, you're in trouble. This is where I have Utah. No, dumpster fire in Salt Lake. Hopefully they end up 16th, but I am at 14th.
Troy, 14?
14 is where the Cowboys go for me. Maybe, like I said, a slight bias to give them a couple of spots to not be dead last. I think Will Lutz runs fast enough that he picks up a couple of wins, and when I say a couple, it might be 2 exactly, but I've got them at 14.
All right, there we go. At 13, well, I got your boys, West Virginia at 13.
Ooh, disrespect.
Look, you can still have a good season. You can show some promise. All right. Who do you got at 13, Mac?
I went the Utes. A lot of question marks. Kind of feels like they're right in there. They're going to be competitive 500 team.
Noah?
I've got Utah at 12. They lose 4 starters from last year's team.
Aren't we on 13?
13.
Yep.
Oh, 13. Yeah, I have Utah at 13. Sorry. They lose 4 starters from last year's team. They're going to be scrappy at home, but I just think that this is a little bit of a rebuilding year for the Utes.
Rush 13.
This is where I have OK State. I think they're going to show flashes late in the season. Like I said, I like the Lutz higher. I just think the hole is just going to be so big that they create in the beginning of the season that by the time they get there, they're just going to be in trouble. But I like their future.
All right. Troy 13.
This one might be a little weird because I don't know if I'm going to trust his coaching, but I'm going to put TCU at 13. I don't know if Jamie Dixon can get it done. Like I said, a little too clogged up in the middle, not enough shooting.
And I thought I was down on TCU. At what are we at? 12 now? 12. I have the UCF very, very Golden Knights. I had struggled between them and my next school, and you could make an argument for me to move them up a spot. But Mac, who do you got at 12?
I was right there with you. I got UCF. I like the backcourt, but a lot of new names, like Noah said, and I think they're knocking on the door maybe of getting in that bubble consideration.
Bieniek at 12.
West Virginia. This is a smallish roster. They'll be able to shoot the ball well. Javon Small was a hell of a get, in my opinion. There are multiple guys on this team that are going to be good passers. I do like the reunification of Tucker DeVries and Joseph Yesufu from the old Drake days, but this team isn't quite in the basement for my predictions, but I do see a world where the Mountaineers could finish down there, but I do see a ceiling where they're as high as 8. So tough place. I landed 12th with Dub V.
Closer.
Rush,
Yeah,
who do you got at 12?
This is where I have UCF. Really liked what Johnny Dawkins did last year, but sometimes when you overperform, you end up taking a step back the following year. I think their roster is a little more questionable, but I think they're going to be a tough team to play.
We think alike there. Troy, who do you got at 12?
Yeah, also the shiny Golden Knights here. The boobs and meth doesn't really hit as hard on the indoor basketball as it does at the outdoor football stadium. But I do see this team with a possible upside. You know, they've got everything hinges on 2 criminals, so we'll see how well that goes over. But again, that's probably the reason why I can't move them up to where their possible ceiling would be. And the floor is pretty low, so 12th.
Yeah. At 11, I got TCU, and this was the one I was battling. I was like, UCF, TCU. I'm just going to trust Dixon just a little bit more than Dawkins. So at 11, I'm going with these Horned Frogs. Mac, who do you got at 11?
At 11, I went BYU. I got to see it from Kevin Young. I like some of the pieces coming back, but they do lose a lot from that continuity with Mark Pope. So give me BYU as a bubble team this year in that 11 spot.
Noah, 11?
Arizona State. Each of the last 3 seasons, Bobby Hurley's defenses have finished 27th, 35th, and 64th. That's going to provide a nice floor. I don't have them in the basement, but I just have some doubts about the mid-major all-star team that includes some freshmen, especially a reclassified one in the Big 12. I don't know if I can buy all the way in on that. So Arizona State 11.
Rush, 11?
Yeah, I'm joining you here, Colby. This is where I have TCU, and this is kind of that fringe area if we're going to see how many Big 12 teams we're going to see make March Madness. But my concern, and like I said, I saw it in person, is how are these players going to respond to an old school coach, Jamie Dixon, when it comes down to these late February games? And I have real concerns there.
I agree. Troy, what do you got at 11?
This is where I have Dub V. I have them above UCF with those 2 teams being the possible volatile move up or move down kind of spots. I just kind of want to see how Tucker plays in the Big 12 before I really solidify this team as, you know, not in the bottom of the bottom third. But I do think we'll see some pretty good basketball in Morgantown compared to last year.
Yeah. It's going to be fun to watch all these new coaches. At number 10, I got the BYU Cougars. I'm a little on the fence about the coaching hire, but I do see the talent on the roster, and the home court advantage is the home court advantage. So give me BYU at 10. Mac, who do you got at 10?
This is where I got my Mountaineers. I think they're on I think 10 gets you in. I think that it's going to come right down the wire. the formula to go dancing, protect home court in Morgantown and steal 2 or 3 on the road. Don't have a bad loss in November and December, and Mountaineers will go dancing, 10 seed.
Bieniek, 10?
Yeah. For the record, I have 10 teams getting in from the Big 12 as well into the Big Dance currently. TCU is going to be 10th for me just because I trust Jamie Dixon a little bit more than the guys below him in my rankings. I like Ernest Uday. Noah Reynolds was a stud at Wyoming 2 years ago in the Mountain West. And also Franklin Collins is a grinder. He seems like a Jamie Dixon guy. The X factor for me is Trezarian White if his game translates from UNC Wilmington in the CAA to the Big 12. If so, maybe the ceiling's a little bit higher, but I have TCU 10.
Rosh, who do you got at number 10?
Yeah, this is where I have West Virginia, hopefully making it into March Madness. Really concerned about their size. Really small team. Obviously, DeVries making the jump to the power conference in the Big 12. You know, they're going to have some learning curve, some learning periods, but I think they handle the non-con pretty well. And, you know, Morgantown is a hard place to play.
True. Troy, who do you got at 10?
This is where I've got the Arizona State Sun Devils. I just like the idea that Bobby Hurley's defense is going to keep them competitive in some of these Big 12 games. And with Freeman and Jihad, you know, sometimes in order to be a free man, you have to commit jihad. So that's a nice little matchup you've got between those two. Hopefully it works out.
Love the answer there. Look at 9. At 9, I have the Cincinnati Bearcats. Is my internet fucking up? I have the Cincinnati Bearcats at 9. You know, I want to put them higher, but I also think I need to see it just one more year from Wes Miller. So at 9, give me those Bearcats as they go dancing, and that's a step forward. Mac, who do you got at 9?
I joke. Jamie Dixon's going to go 500. TCU, they'll find a way. That's what they do under Dixon. They peak in January. They protect home court and on that fucked up court, that rubber thing, whatever they play on, and then they'll protect the non-con too and go dancing again under Jamie Dixon. 4th straight year.
Bieniek, who do you got at 9?
I'm with you, Colby. I have Cincinnati 9th. You know, I think they can definitely finish higher than 9th, but this is kind of where I landed with them based on other teams that I think have higher ceilings. I really like the backcourt of Dede Thomas, Simus Lukosius, Dan Skillings, Jizzle James. Aziz Bandaogo was a great rim protector last year. He could have gone pro. And then Dylan Mitchell was a great grab in the portal. I love this team 6 players deep, and then I think it gets shallow fast. It should be a good enough team to get Wes Miller into the big dance, though.
9. What are you working with, Rush?
Yeah, I'm joining you, gentlemen, with Cincinnati here. I think this is that step forward for Wes Miller. I do like their experience that they're bringing in, and I do think they take that step. I agree with you, Noah, in terms of their concerns with their depth, but I think those 5, 6, 7 guys that they have are able to take them forward. So Cincy number 9.
There we go. Troy, what do you got at 9?
This one might get me in trouble with my boss because he's a Wildcat fan, but I've got Kansas State at number 9. I am not a fan of their matchup of the transfers that they brought in, and they have so many new guys trying to fill spots. I think I'm siding with the Cincinnati transfers over the Kansas State guys right now. And that was, you know, one of the areas where I'm debating between a few teams. I think Kansas State underachieves pretty hard here.
I like it. Some bold takes. So it's not that bold for me though, because at number 8, I do have the Kansas State Wildcats. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of new faces. You wonder when will that all come together? I still think they're a tournament team, and getting them back into the tournament, have to battle there in Manhattan at the Little Apple. Mac, who do you got at 8?
I had K-State too, and I mean, I don't think it's that hot to take Troy because I think they're going to be up and down, protect home court, be an 8-9 seed in the NCAA tournament. Hopefully Hawkins can keep the emotions somewhat in check now that they're paying them all that money.
Bieniek, number 8.
I have BYU 8th. I don't know what to expect from Kevin Young in year 1. That's why I have them landing here kind of right in the middle of this conference. But I think that this is a perfect blend of returnees and incoming talent where this could turn into a really nice season for the Cougars. But I need to see it. So I'm going to wait and see November, December, how they perform, and I'll probably adjust my expectations from there.
Rush, who do you got at 8?
Yeah, this is where I have Kansas State as well. I think Tang kind of finds that middle ground from that Elite 8 team to kind of what was a little bit of a disaster last year. We'll see how they adjust with the roster that they have. Big year for Tang. A lot to prove for him.
Yeah. Troy, 8. What are you working with?
8 for me is going to be the BYU Cougars. I just like how much they bring back, like you kind of mentioned earlier. It's okay to have staples if they're old staples. The young staples don't seem to work as well. The ones that have, been put into the wall and just kind of hang out there for years and years, those are dependable staples. And I think BYU's got good chemistry, and everyone's going to sign their lifestyle agreement and turn their attitudes around, and they're going to be a solid tournament team.
I like it. I like the staples that you referred to. And yeah, I mean,
sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Look,
is that what they were saying at Venezia's?
That Venezia's, I'm glad you brought that up, because shout out to Venezia's, the greatest pizza in all of Arizona.
Some people will question, well, you haven't coached in a long time. You haven't been on the field.
Coach Ravino, Devil's Digest.
Devil's Digest, huh?
Yes, sir.
Where you located, my man?
Right here in Tempe.
Okay, Devil's Digest. Okay. I'm Catholic now. I'm a Christian. Watch out them devils.
Watch out them devils. That's what I say, because they're my number 7 team. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Mac. Let's go. All right. Yeah. Look, I'm buying in. There's new energy. Anderson's gone. There's new energy around Tempe. They're trying. Look. Their school president tried to get them all academically tough over the past decade. Now they're retreating from that. They're getting the fake tits back on campus, and boom, that's how you win games. Give me Arizona State to shock. I guess a little bit of a shock to finish 7th in the Big 12 there. Mac, what do you got at 7? And go Sun Devils, right?
Yeah, they were giving you the good shit clearly this weekend in Tempe because they ain't finishing 7th. Hey, you know what, Sun Devils fans, you're going to like this one. You know who's going to disappoint and finish 7th? The other Arizona team. The Wildcats disappoint 7th. That's their floor for me. 7th, in my opinion. Year 1.
Yeah. Okay, that's a bold take. Bieniek, you going to number 7?
I have the Wildcats finish 7th. Wildcats of Kansas State. Got you.
Oh, I thought,
Jerome Tang was the defensive mastermind at Baylor from 2017 to 2022. Baylor's average defensive finish was 25th nationally. In the 2 years without Tang, Scott Drew's defense is 107th and 72nd. Tang's 2 years at K-State, the defensive efficiency has been ranked 27th and 25th via KenPom, and he hasn't lost an overtime game as the head man for Kansas State. I know there's a wild variety of outcomes with the characters that are on this roster, but this is now the 3rd season where Tang has had a complete roster of all transfers. He's used to this, and the defense gives K-State a surprising floor. Last year, the Cats finished 10th. 2023, they finished 4th. Put them right in the middle. This year, I have them slotted at 7th.
There we go. Rush, what do you got at 7?
Lucky number 7. I have the Cougars, the Houston. I'm just kidding. BYU Cougars. Pulled a Bieniek there. I guess this is a conference with 2 sets of the same mascot. Interesting. But I think BYU did an excellent job of filling in for Mark Pope. I think they did the best possible job. Looking forward to Kevin Young. I do think there'll be some hiccups. First time coach in the Big 12. Everything I said with Darian DeVries at West Virginia, I think it applies to Young here as well. Got some great prospects coming in. They were able to hold on to a lot of their great guys from last year as well. I do think they make a splash in March because they'll want to make up for losing to Duquesne in the first round, and looking forward to what this BYU team's able to do.
David, a trip to Tempe changes a lot in a man.
Yeah, I mean, what are we talking about here? Well, don't worry. I still have your why. I said Arizona yet, so that's all you should be concerned about there, David. All right, yeah, you filthy animal. Look, Troy, what are you doing here at the 7 hole?
Well, I'm not smoking any peyote at the fucking 7 hole. That's for sure. I've got Cincinnati here. I think this team turned it on at the end of the year, and I think that we're going to see a pretty good performance in league play as the second year in a very tough conference where you kind of got to adjust to the physicality and whatnot. I just really like that they got Dylan Mitchell. I feel like that's a game changer for them to get a guy within the conference that knows how it goes.
I like it. At 6, I got Texas Tech. I got the Texas Tech Red Raiders there at 6. Still a really good season. It's the Big 12. You know what I mean? 6 is like awesome. You should be very happy if you're a fan.
4 or 5 seeded.
Yeah. Mac, who do you got at 6?
This is where I went, the Bearcats. I like the production coming back, veteran size, athleticism. Wes Miller, let's go. Get this thing back to the dance.
Noah, 6?
I'm right there with you, Colby. I really like Texas Tech this year. I have them 6 in the Big 12. McCaslin had one of the best coaching jobs last season. This year, the group has an excellent distributing point guard in Elijah Hawkins, who was top 10 nationally in assist rate last year. And the Red Raiders will be able to shoot the ball really well late in the shot clock because they're going to suck clock, Colby. This is a really good front court.
Suck that clock, baby.
It's a really good front court, and all of these guys are good defenders. I think 6, honestly, is the floor. I had really hard time trying to fit them higher. I really like this Texas Tech roster.
Rush, what do you got at 6?
This answer may surprise some of you all. I have Iowa State here, and it's not because we're playing football against them this weekend. And I know when this team came up, my surgery brain kicked in a little bit. I created a word salad. But my point was, I think because of Arizona joining the league, and I think the remaining teams I have on my list are going to be able to take a step forward. I think they're just stagnant, and they got the same roster, and they just kind of fall back a little bit because of it.
I don't disagree with it that much.
It's
Troy.
a fair take, and 5th is really good in the Big 12 too.
Yeah. Troy, where are you at? Well, no, we're on 6.
We're on 6, right? Yeah. I also have Texas Tech at 6. I do like the floor idea of the Grant McCaslin style defense. I know we like to say suck that clock, but we need to remember for BYU games that we can say soak that clock too.
Ooh,
so
I like that.
We gotta keep that one in the back pocket for when
soak that clock.
Soak that clock, baby.
That needs to be a t-shirt, Noah. At 5 for me is David's Arizona Wildcats at number 5. Look, it's good first year in the new conference. Don't just walk in thinking you're going to own it. All right. 5. Mac, what do you got at 5?
At 5, I see a lot of similarities. What's going on at Iowa State with Texas Tech. I think McCaslin's building a consistent winner like Otzelberger has in Ames. I got Texas Tech at number 5. They got an identity, got a culture. Wreck 'em, number 5.
Bieniek, 5.
Colby and I are lockstep ever since like number 12 in this ranking because I have Arizona 5th too. I think they take a slight step back in regular season performance after losing all of last year's production. But I know Wildcats fans are very excited about Jaden Bradley. You know, Caleb Love's going to do Caleb Love things, good or bad. But Trey Townsend, my guy, was such a sneaky get. He played 6 games against power conference competition last year. He averaged 21.3 points per game, 8.5 boards, 2.5 assists. Plus, I look at Houston and BYU, who performed much better than expectations in year 1. You know, I had trouble figuring out, like, if Arizona takes a step back, where to slot them in the Big 12. But I looked at BYU and Houston last year perform really well. So Arizona's going to be a top 5 team in the Big 12.
Rush, what do you got at 5?
Joining Mac here with Texas Tech, I think Grant McCaslin's a fantastic head coach, looking to see the team he puts out there this year and how they respond to his coaching style. And he really is building a culture there. I think it continues this year at the number 5 spot.
Yeah. At 5, Troy, what are you working with?
I also have the Arizona Wildcats here. And kind of like Bieniek, a lot of it has to do with Trey Townsend. He's not scared of the moment, and he actually seems like a guy that's going to take the opportunity and make the most of it. Again, not a bad position in the conference. Don't take it the wrong way that you're being listed at number 5. That still gives you a pretty good shot at maybe even like a 3 seed or a 4 seed, which is, I mean, pretty normal for this league. But there will be a few games that they drop that are just Big 12 games where they get, grinded down or something like that.
Yeah, to Troy's point, like I have mutual friends with Townsend, and like he didn't want to leave Baylor, or he didn't want to leave Oakland, sorry, but he needed to play another year of college basketball. So they just didn't have graduate program for him. So I think he will make the most of this year.
All right, there we go. At 4, I got Iowa State. The home advantage is all the difference. They might have an early exit in the tournament, because I was not, if you go back, I wasn't bullish on them, but I just still think the home environment's the home environment. Give me the Cyclones at 4. Mac, what do you got at 4?
I guess this one will technically be a hot take. They're going into the hunted role because they had the magical year. They won the Big 12 in their first year. I got Kelvin Sampson and Houston finishing 4. They lose Shead, his leadership. They bring everybody back, but everybody's got to go step up in their role here. I think that they fall on the wrong side of a couple of those close games that they won. So give me Houston in the 4 hole, and there'll be a 2 seed in March Madness.
Bieniek, 4.
I have Baylor. I love this really good defensive backcourt between Jeremy Roach and Jaden Nunn. Plus, you have some high ceiling freshmen and VJ Edgecombe, who I really like, and Rob Wright. And Norchad Omier, I think, is going to benefit from playing the 4. That excites me a lot. I have an intuition that the squad's going to be really good in the regular season, but they're going to be playing their best ball come March. So I have them 4th in the Big 12 regular season. This is a tournament contender, one of the 2 tournaments for sure.
Oh, wow. Rush, what are you doing here at 4?
This is where I have Arizona, and for David in the chat, 4 in the Big 12 is easily the equivalent to 1 in the Pac-12, maybe even down. But they'll do just fine in the regular season, as they always do. They'll compete in the Big 12 tournament, and then March Madness will be the ultimate question, as it always is with Arizona.
Yeah. Troy, 4. What are you doing?
I've got Grant McCaslin's Cyclones here at 4.
Wait.
Otzelberger.
Or Otzelberger's. I don't know why I said McCaslin. I'm also looking at Texas Tech. I also forgot to say on Texas Tech, I think
It's easy to see a tide turn.
Sorry.
It's addition by subtraction to get rid of Pop Isaacs, and that's why I was looking over at Texas Tech. But Otzelberger and the Cyclones at 4. I love the idea that they're building a program that's kind of just like Baylor, and we've seen that work in this league. Taman Lipsey's a baller, and like I said earlier, I see Momcilovic taking not just a step forward, maybe pretty big, maybe 2 steps forward.
Yeah, like that. At 3, I got the Houston Cougars. Just a little bit of regression, still elite. Comes down to a game or 2 here or there, but they're my 3. Mac, who do you got at 3?
Otzelberger and Iowa State. Culture. Lipsey back. They took that step last year from 5 to 2. I think they're around that 2-3 again, and let's see if they can break through and get to a Final Four this year. Cyclones, baby, let's go.
Bieniek, 3.
I'm with Colby again. I got Houston 3rd in the Big 12. Kelvin Sampson's defenses have finished inside the top 10 nationally in 4 straight seasons, top 25 in 7 straight seasons. It offers a super high floor every single season. Yeah, losing Shead's a huge hit, but every 2-ish years, we always say the same thing about Houston. Oh, they lost this guy. I've learned my lesson. The answer is just don't question it. It's an easy top 10 team. There's only 2 rosters that I feel better about in the preseason here in the Big 12, and they're both easy top 5 teams, in my opinion. So, yeah, Houston 3rd.
We're close to 3 hours here. Who do we got on 3, Rush? What are we doing?
I have Troy's Baylor here. Hey, there's a reason Scott Drew didn't go to Kentucky. He really likes this roster, and so do I. And I think come March, watch out for Baylor.
Troy, 3?
Same thing. This is where I have Scott Drew, mostly because I think that they do lose a couple of league games that maybe they shouldn't, and it prevents them from having that best overall record within the conference. I think you will see a good conference run in the conference tournament, and I think you will definitely see a Baylor team that's a little bit more prepared for March Madness. By the time that rolls around, there's a shot that Edgecombe is just taking over the team, and everyone else can just concentrate on playing defense, which we've seen a lot of that work for Scott.
Yeah. At number 2, Rock Chalk. Look, which answers my number 1? I mean, should I just give both out? Should we do both right now?
I wouldn't say so because there's 5.
Okay.
We honestly, some people may have lost track.
No one remembers what I say anyway. But look, I have Kansas at number 2. Everyone's gonna think they're gonna be number 1, but Hunter Dickinson's Hunter Dickinson. All right, they slip up just at the right time. They finish number 2 in the Big 12. Mac, who do you got at 2?
I had Kansas too. I didn't have him winning the regular season. The first time in Bill Self's career, back to back, he doesn't win it. And I'll dive in with my number 1 team here in a minute why. But this team's loaded. They're the best team in the country roster-wise. But that doesn't mean you win the Big 12. So you finish second, Jayhawks.
Bieniek 2?
I have Iowa State. I really like this team too. You know, you have the returning production, the super good defensive foundation, a ruckus home environment. The Cyclones, they have a very high floor this regular season. I just have them, I question them being able to knock down their shots in the NCAA tournament. That's the only thing. Like, because they haven't shot it well, and Otzelberger's first 3 tourney losses with the Clones, that's the only question about this team this year, in my opinion.
Rush 2?
This is where I have Houston, a shedless Houston, but hey, they'll just be fine. They'll be just fine, as we know. Looking forward to which guys step up and fill in for him.
Troy?
Shedless Houston just means they're now hypoallergenic. That's not an issue, Rush. I have Kansas at 2. I just think that they depend on Hunter a little too much. I don't know if they'll be able to make that transition early enough to where they slip up, like you said, and just come up a little bit short in the regular season. Now, Big 12 tournament and March Madness could be different, but overall in this regular season, I see not anything necessarily rocky, just a bump here and there.
All right.
Tyrone Bigham style.
I appreciate your honesty as a Baylor fan, but look, I'll say it for you. Because I know behind closed doors, you're going to throw this paper away and say, fuck this episode. Baylor is going to win the Big 12 regular season. Scott Drew came back for a reason. Rush said it right. He's bullish on this team. And they're going to win the regular season Big 12. It's, you know, they slipped a little bit the past couple of years. This is it. They jump back right into the mix, remind people that they are one of the powers in the Big 12. Mac, who do you got at 1?
1A, 1B, baby. Baylor Bears. And you know what? Kansas and Baylor down years last year, slipped up defensively. I expect them both to bounce back. They both have national championships 2 out of the last 5 years. And here was the tiebreaker. I was torn on Baylor, Kansas, Houston, Iowa State. I did the schedule game. Only one team out of those misses the fog. It's Baylor. So Baylor gets Kansas coming to them. They beat them in Waco. Baylor wins the regular season. Sick 'em.
Let's go. Bieniek.
At number 1, I have the New York Yankees. Wait, I mean Kansas. It just feels like the Yankees just because of how much money that's been dumped into this roster. I mean, does a guy with 17 Big 12 regular season championships really need a roster like this? The big question is when nut cutting time comes in March and April, will this NIL roster be able to live up to all the pressure? I have Kansas winning it.
Rush, who's your number 1?
Yep, joining you, Noah. I was wrong last year. I'll be right this year. Kansas has put way too much money into this to lose the Big 12. They're gonna figure this one out. As we can see by their football team, they put all the money back in the basketball team. So I love Kansas to win the Big 12 regular season
tournament champ.
Yeah. Well, hang on, Troy at number 1.
Sorry.
What do you got?
Sorry, Troy.
Houston Cougars still number 1, come into the Big 12 to beat everybody's ass in basketball. They did it right off the bat. They return every single player from their team but Shead. They get one transfer to fill that role that they get to pick pretty much out of whoever they wanted to come play for Kelvin Sampson. They get it done this year. I think maybe a sweep.
Fantastic stuff. We have a bunch of different. What do we got? 3 different winners, right?
3 different winners of
Baylor, Kansas, and Houston.
Yeah, fantastic. Folks, that's our show. But before we get out of here, who wins the tournament? I will say Bill Self of the Kansas Jayhawks get it done.
Yeah, they've got him bounced. They got bounced in the first round last year. Got embarrassed with their B team. Remember, they sat everybody, and he didn't win it the year. He got blown out by Rodney Terry in Texas. Kansas gets it done this year at the Sprint Center.
Bieniek.
I have Houston. I think they figure it out come January, February without Shead, and they get going in February, March, and they win the Big 12 championship and tournament.
There we go. A Rush.
Yeah, Noah, we're on the same page here. I'm going to pick Houston as well. I know that they were, kind of not forfeited, but they weren't in the whole game against Iowa State last year in the Big 12 tournament. I think it's going to mean a little more this year because I don't know how confident they're going to be about March this year. They'll know they'll have a chance to win it, but I feel like they felt better last year. So I think they're going to give the Big 12 tournament a little more of a push this year.
Let's go. Troy, what are you working with here?
I should pick Houston because Scott Drew doesn't really have a record of trying his heart out in the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah,
I think by the time that they roll around to that time of year, they'll be playing their best basketball, and some of the freshmen will have figured out their real roles on the team. So I'm going to take Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears to win the Big 12 tournament.
There we go.
This is a big tournament, by the way. Neutral site.
Neutral site.
AKA the fog. AKA the fog.
Put that thing on wheels, please.
Iowa State made it, Hinkle. Or not Hinkle.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Hilton. Yeah, those
Hilton.
are the two that really pack it in, and then K-State too.
Sleepers?
Well, sleeper, it's my Sun Devils, all right? Forks up. All right, let's go. Mac?
Is Cincinnati at 6 a sleeper?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Last year they finished, 10th?
Yep, Cincinnati 6.
Bieniek, who's your sleeper?
I am going to go with Kansas State. I got Kansas State 7th. They finished actually, no, they finished tied for 9th last year. I didn't see that tie. Shit. I'll go with Cincinnati too.
Wow.
Skyline chili for everybody. Rush, what are you doing here?
I wanted to pick Cincinnati too. But the problem is I don't know if I technically have them high enough on my list. The name of mixing it up, I'll pick Texas Tech. Wait, sleepers they have to be better than they were last year, right?
Yeah.
Marginally, yeah.
BYU. Let's go.
No, because I haven't said
last year.
Yeah, they finished.
Yeah, I have them. Yeah, I'll join you guys with Cincinnati. Sorry to sound
Let's
like a
go.
Oh, squares. Losers.
What do you got, Troy?
Let's go with the UCF shiny Golden Knights to really outperform. Let's hope that they hit their ceiling here. I do understand the Cincinnati pick, and I probably would have picked it if everybody else wasn't on Cincinnati like squares. Yeah, I'll take UCF to get close to their ceiling, hopefully. This is not one that I would be super confident in, but you got to look a little further down the board for some of your sleepers. You guys are taking the easy one.
Yeah. Do you know what? Noah, put me down for West Virginia. Screw it. You got to.
Oh, there we go.
And I'm different too. I got Kansas State higher than Cincinnati. I'm still going to roll with it. Is it safe to say we all have Colorado as the bust? They finished 3rd in the Pac-12. They're going to finish last in the Big 12.
No, they would have finished last in the Big 12.
The bust is going to be what did TCU finish last year?
I like that as the bust.
6.
Yeah, I got them at 11. So let's go. I'm not putting Colorado down. You could rot in hell, you bastard. All right.
Look at their odds over there on the right. They're telling you they're going to finish fucking last.
True.
I'm not picking them though. All right. You stay faithful. What are we working with here, Mac, as your disappointing team?
BYU 11.
Okay.
You know me. I fade the NBA. Get that NBA shit out of here. This is the Big 12.
Yeah. Bieniek, what do you got?
I am going to go with I got to go with either one of the 2 Pac-12 schools coming over. Utah, Colorado. They seem like they're set on a tee for you to say bust. So I'll go Colorado. They're going to finish last.
Yeah. This is good content. Rush, what are we working with here?
I'm going to join you, Colby. I'm going to pick TCU.
Let's go. Troy?
Yeah, I'm a company man here, so I'm going to suck up and not pick Colorado. But I also didn't in my power rankings. I think Utah's your bust here.
There we go. Good answer. Bieniek, get behind the boards. All right. No more mic time. All right. Folks, that's our show. Make sure you check out the Big 12 Experience and the Ryan and Rush Show. Obviously, Mac, Rush, and Troy all do the Big 12 Experience. If you haven't, you got to check it out. It's a lot of fun. And also the Ryan and Rush Show, which they cleverly made sure Troy was not a part of. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. And look, if you want one with less weed, that's the Ryan and Rush Show to check out. But also give Noah Bieniek a follow on Twitter at NoahB77_. We'll have that title for another week. So get it in now. Troy is on Twitter at Troy Chewning. All right. You see it right there. I'm not going to spell it out for you. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Rush is on Twitter at Rambling Rush. Please, Rush, I appreciate you doing a 3-hour show. That's definitely against doctor's orders there. So please, don't try to sue me because I have no money. Mac is on Twitter at Moneyline_Mac. Appreciate him as always. He's also tomorrow night. We got college football bracketology on the College Football Experience. Check out all of those. Check out the College Baseball Experience. Bieniek's got dossiers on all those bastards too. Texted me about a Long Island Sharks DH. All right. Come on, let's go. All right.
Phoenix are Connor Stallings.
Colby, breaking news, by the way, if you want some baseball news.
I know what you're going to say. Oh, okay. What's that?
You do know what I'm going to say?
Well, continue on. I think so.
The roof of Tropicana has blown off because of the hurricane.
We always wanted an outdoor stadium down there.
Now we're talking.
They're gonna rename the Hurricane Colby because it just took the dome off of Tropicana.
God's orders right there. Please, folks, continue. If only the whole country could get hit by. If only every NFL stadium could get hit by a hurricane, I'd be very, very pleased with that. Minus Lambeau and Soldier, but still, the Bears owner's house. Please just devastate that thing. Anyway, till next time, folks, this is the College Basketball Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.
Yeah, it's got me thinking about the good shit the minute that I seen you grill again. It made me good trip, good dog the mind back like dog but wine there. Man, I didn't get mad when you near me hit me can back, but the comings on was strong. Now my shit's